for once. I should read the whole context. I've got my phone on.
Alright.
I've got my phone. I don't know.
There we go.
I'm early for once.
Alright, cool. We are live.
Yo!
So one thing I gotta do real quick.
Uh,
What?
It's like, take forever. I want a junior Western bacon cheese.
Posters.
Oh, I should probably turn down the volume real quick on
I
mine.
am the scary and the scariest monsters.
Alright, and so we got that going. Alright, so real quick, let's say, hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Marshbarker.
I mean, Fuego here.
Robert the Wolfman.
And we are here to do a massive review roundup. We have a lot of movies that we need to discuss, a lot of TV shows that we need to discuss, and someone asked if we are going to be reviewing Dahmer. Yes, we will be talking about that tonight. We have, including that now, we have, I think, 39 different things that we are going to be discussing today.
Ay, Dios mío.
So feel free to take a break whenever you need to go potty.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a long one, guys. Go refill.
Take a bathroom.
But don't close out the stream. Share the stream.
Yeah.
Hit that like button.
Smash
Smash
the
good.
like.
Keep it on your computer, then put it on your phone, and then go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Bluetooth.
Yeah, just do a lot of, I do a lot of
Bluetooth.
watch latering, so.
No. Multiple devices at the same time.
Oh my goodness, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure, why not?
Have it on every screen.
Australian daylight savings. Oh, no.
And
I love Little River Band. 8 CDs.
Sorry guys, doing a bit of behind the scenes just real quick while we get things going. Let us know how you all are doing in the chat.
Yes,
Have you,
please.
tell us
Robert,
what-
shout out to
have you
people
guys
that are
figured
saying-
out what you're
All
wearing
right.
for Halloween? I'm over talking.
Alright, so quick shout out to everybody in the chat. So we got Eddie D.
Yeah.
We got Neuro Demuns. We got Nolan P. We
Shout
got
out to all
James Hatton. Howdy do. What?
Howdly doodly.
Don't snicker at me, Marcia.
How duties.
Alright, and
Are we there yet?
Are we frozen?
Are we there?
I think
Oh,
we might
look,
be
that's a good
frozen.
O face.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're
no.
frozen.
What's up, Corey?
Everything is
Damn it, we're frozen.
Oh no.
Nothing feels the
Alright, hang on, let me
Or is it just
Hold
frozen
on.
on your end?
No, it's our program. Let me stop and start it again. We'll be right back, guys.
Hold on.
Wait.
I'm gonna-
No, not hold on.
Be right back.
You can still comment.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Alright, so
Go for it.
Look at all those people on their phones.
God damn it, why are we Oh wait, no, you know what? Instead of doing that, I'm gonna close out the video and start the camera again. Because it sounds like they're hearing us still.
Oh, okay.
So let's do that.
Can you hear us now?
Alright. Let's re-add.
Let it go.
Let it
Let it
go.
go. Let it go.
Coming back, guys. We're coming back.
Body.
Oh no. Why
What
are we
the
still
hell?
frozen?
Damn it, Mimsy.
I don't know.
Name's
Damn it, did the camera really crap out entirely?
Oh no.
What the hell?
Let's just close. Let's just close out. We'll restart the stream. And
Because
try
it's not
this
going to
again.
be the
Always a
same
pain in
link.
the ass,
Oh
yeah.
shite.
Yeah,
The one
that's
that
why
we
we
all
can't
shared
do that.
out.
What the hell's going on? Why? Alright, hang on. We're gonna troubleshoot this for a second.
Why is it hidden? Is it hidden?
No, it's not. It's I need to know which
Can you,
camera cord.
Yeah.
Which cord is
Do you want
the
me to
camera.
pull it from the top?
Yes, please.
All right. Well,
I think I see which one it would be.
Wiggle.
Okay. I think that's it.
Well,
what are you gonna be for Halloween this year?
I don't know. Me? I didn't have any plans to dress up this year.
Like Halloween's on a Monday, so I don't know what the hell is
Yeah,
going
honestly,
on.
I have no plans for Halloween
I'm
this
seeing
year.
AFI the Friday before
Big-
Halloween. That's
Oh,
about
no
all I
shit.
got going on. Yeah, at the Marquee.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
Put some
Alright,
ears on or
well, it's
something,
working
some
again.
bangs.
Well, I mean, fangs are my fallback always. You guys know this.
See if
We're gonna need to correct the angle a little bit.
Crack shot. Sorry.
There we go.
And
All
let's
right.
see. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, now we're
Okay,
popping.
there's some
Yep, now
very
we're popping
interesting
back.
microphone
Alright.
Now we're
placement.
back. All right, sweet. Yeah, see, I knew they could hear us. So,
Yeah.
all right, we'll just have to keep an eye on that, and hopefully it's not terrible through the rest of the thing.
Herpfurler.
All right. Well, that was
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, it feels like it.
I saw Corey too.
I can't see it. What did it say?
He's just
There we
like,
go.
I feel like this is one of those things where the exorcist's face pops up all aggressively.
Oh.
All right, can you guys hear us all okay, though, at least? Should be able to hear us just fine. I imagine we would have heard it by now, if not.
True.
No echoes or anything like that?
No, there shouldn't be any echoes. We
Yeah,
should
that's
all
a
be
show
good
where
there.
maybe briefly tell
All
me
right,
about.
yep, thumbs up. Cool. All right, so let's get to it, shall we?
Yeah, we got a
Yeah,
We got
lot.
lots to
so
talk
much
about,
to do,
so-
so much to unpack and
First
discuss.
one, again, we're going to be going alphabetically, guys. I'm
Oh.
sorry, but that's the easiest. So
Yeah.
Oh.
we're starting with Allegoria.
Oh,
Oh.
this one.
I didn't
Oh.
do this.
This was me.
Yeah, I watched it too. So this is
Oh.
actually
Okay.
So this is an anthology horror that is exclusive to Shudder, directed by
Guys, is the music too loud, not loud enough? Sorry to interrupt, Fuego, but if the music's too loud, let me know. If it's okay, let me know. Fuego, please continue.
Yeah, so this was directed by Rob Zombie's little brother,
Spider
from,
One.
from Power Man 5000. Very low budge, as you would kind of expect, and with any anthology, you're gonna have a mixed bag of sorts. I did feel like at the very beginning, the monologue that the instructor gave was pretty on point.
It was, but at times it drug on too much.
Mhm.
Like this movie, like
It tried to interlock stuff too with certain characters.
It did. The wraparound was fine enough,
Mhm.
but the final execution still fell a little flat.
Yeah.
I appreciated what they were trying to go for.
Yeah.
It's still a fun watch just to check out, especially if you're a fan of Power Man and shit like that.
Mhm. Yeah, the score was good. You could
The
tell
score
that,
was
score
the
was
music.
good.
The music
Yeah.
of this actually probably was the best part of it.
One of the best.
The
Yeah.
effects weren't too bad.
No.
You can tell where they put their budget, what they knew,
Yeah.
what they had to work with.
Mhm.
So I will give it
Yeah, it
at
wasn't.
least a thumb and a
Yeah,
half,
it's like
you know.
right in the middle for
Yeah.
me
Just
too.
the tip of the thumb.
Yeah.
You might go to the knuckle.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's,
okay.
yeah. I could
Yeah,
second
you
that
might
notion.
go-
Just a little.
Just so
Yeah.
that you can at least have the little
Yeah.
turn in there,
Yeah.
little movement possible. But yeah, like the segment with the pretentious painter guy.
Yeah,
I wasn't
know.
so into that, and I
I
guess the
did
stuff with the
like-
punk band was all right.
The punk band wasn't bad, but I also did like
Messing with the weird chord or note or whatever.
The
that was-
writer.
Hmm.
The writer aspect with the psycho in the basement.
Oh yeah.
That I thought actually
I
was
agree.
the best, but
Mhm.
also it was the shortest
Mm.
of them.
True.
Yeah.
But I would say that story alone.
It's at least worth
was
checking
solid.
out as far as
Absolutely.
there's much worse anthology horror out there to check out. Trust
That's
us.
true.
Yes.
All right, fair enough. Hey, look,
I didn't
you
watch
guys got
this,
through
but I
that
agree
pretty
with
quick.
that
All right.
statement.
Surprising.
Yeah, especially if you're on Shudder and you want to
Bring it
check out
in.
something new, you know.
Yeah.
As we await Trick or Treat 2, which Michael Dougherty
Exactly.
said is in active development now, which is
Oh,
exciting.
oh, yeah.
So.
All right, so the next thing we are going to be talking about is the second season of American Horror Stories.
Ooh.
Haven't
This is
watched it
the
yet.
anthology American Horror Story series. The first series was weird because it was 7 episodes and 3 of them were about the murder house.
Right.
So we only really got 4 episodes that were original. This one was 8 episodes, all original the entire way. Like each episode was a different thing. Robert and I watched it together, every episode on a weekly basis. And the first episode we were like, okay, this might be okay, this might be okay. And then every episode afterwards seemed to get like worse
Oh, no.
and worse.
Oh, seriously.
And worse and worse.
It was
Agreed.
at the final 2 episodes. I was ready for this season to be done.
Yes.
I was so bored with every episode. There was nothing original really, except for like the ring one, like Halo or whatever. It was okay enough, but it still fell so fucking flat. It had no good payoff, no beneficial payoff at any end of the episode.
I just saw what Nolan said.
Yeah,
He
Nolan
disagrees.
disagrees.
You
No
thought
one
it
says
better.
season 2 was better, 10 times better than season 1.
Okay.
I don't know. I
I
liked-
still plan to watch it.
I still-
Even though Murder House like co-opted the whole first season, I still liked
those
the first
episodes
season
were
better
pretty
good.
because of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, I felt.
I'm thinking back
I'm
to that.
kind of torn because the first one there were a few episodes I think I liked better than other people liked, and I
Okay.
did like the extra of the murder house because it's the murder house. But yeah, by the last episode of the murder house, I was like, okay, this is done.
I'm just thinking back to that Bro House episode from the first
Yeah,
season, how
I mean,
derpy it was.
It was derpy, but I still had fun with
I
it.
did too.
But with this one, I was way more excited because I was like, okay, we're gonna get all new stuff. A dollhouse, like
Dollhouse was
was
great.
great. It wasn't exactly where I
perfect.
wanted it to be,
The ending was a little meh.
It was still intriguing enough.
Absolutely.
That's a specific episode from season 2.
The very first episode.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the doorbell ring episode
That's
was
the second episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was Aura. I was just gonna go
There's
through
only
real
6
quick.
The Bella Thorne one
No,
was
there's 8.
fucking garbage.
Yeah,
Okay.
Drive.
Which one?
Drive was
with
the
Bella
next one.
Thorne.
Oh,
What is
God,
Just
yeah.
fucking garbage.
What is Bella Thorne good in, though, man? I mean,
She
she's
was good in
hot.
the babysitter.
She's hot.
The
but
next
that's about
episode-
it.
I honestly will say she was good in
Yeah.
the babysitter.
So yeah, the third episode was about Bella Thorne, who was a driver, and the next episode was called Milkmaids.
Oh
Um,
God,
I
that
don't
was
remember
so
that.
The
hard to watch.
smallpox outbreak with the
lesions.
sores that were.
Oh
Yeah.
You
yeah.
hated that one.
Yeah, that one made me cringe a little bit.
It was
like
so
the
gross.
body store.
Yeah,
kind of stuff,
Milkmaids
that
was
gets
basically
me.
what if you milked sores from people
Oh,
Ugh.
like
and
but-
drank the juice.
That is
Yeah,
horrible
but
because I
as-
know the
as
whole
a-
pimple popping culture.
That's
is-
what it-
Exactly.
yeah.
But here's the
Ugh.
thing, though, too, is it
Ugh.
plays
It
off
saved you
of
from smallpox.
religious paranoia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
that's where that was another pretty intriguing episode. I kind of forgot about that one actually. I was excited
Bella
to
Thorne
see
can't
where
act.
they were gonna go with it.
Oh, she's-
But again, it was the final act of the episode had no good payoff. It was
Yeah, it was gross. It was
Nolan
so
says,
gross.
"Dude, the pig one." I don't know which one the
Which
pig
one was the
one
pig
is.
one
Pig.
again?
Well, so after Milkmaids was Bloody Mary,
Yeah.
which
It was,
was yeah,
It was okay.
It was a usually you think Bloody Mary. It was good. It was okay for what it was, but it was
It
tried
was
to do
a
its own
different
thing.
take.
A different
of,
take,
Yeah.
yes.
of Bloody Mary,
Thank
which I
you,
do
yes, yeah.
appreciate, but it still was not enough.
It just wasn't
Yeah.
as
It was
very-
entertaining of a take as I was
No.
hoping.
I
a very
thought this
familiar
season
story,
was
though, right?
very
So-
like, are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah.
Ish.
Here's
but
one-
like, it was like, okay, I should be 24, but I'm really 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh?
Where
like,
again
majority of the
this season really highlighted,
Writing.
I would say, is the introductory credits for each episode.
Yeah.
Those were fucking awesome.
They always do a great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
with those on
Yeah.
the main
Those-
show
but-
and the
yeah,
anthology.
But that's
that's what I'm
terrible
saying.
if that's what you're saying.
I know,
That's
but that's
the-
what I'm
the
saying.
plastic
That's the
surgery.
positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
the
has to
next
be pointed
episode
to.
was Facelift, the plastic surgery.
That's what
Yeah.
Nolan is saying was really good too. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like that one was
yeah.
insane.
They hunt her and everything. They use her as a sacrifice and shit on that.
La la
Yeah,
la
yeah, yeah.
la la
Yeah.
la la la.
Oh, sorry. Whatever.
Are you really gonna watch it?
The
Yeah.
seventh
I've
episode,
watched every season of the
seventh
show and the
episode,
first season of stories.
very on the nose, titled Necro.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was that was so fucking stupid. That episode.
And then
sucked.
finally, Lake is the final episode.
Yeah, that one. That again.
I didn't like that one either. Yeah, it was just
they
rough.
they definitely put their best episode first.
Yeah.
What I do like is the stories format. I just
Mm-hmm.
wish that there was more than one story this season that I liked.
But that's kind of for me, like anthology movies and stuff. Like, there might be one or two that I like, but a lot of them, like, I'm a stories person, so short stories don't really do it for me. I like the long haul.
I'm actually
To a
tempted
point,
to watch
I
that.
really like anthology.
I'm
I
tempted
do
to watch
too.
the Walking Dead anthology because that's
Tales from the
supposed to
Walking
be.
Dead.
Yeah,
It's
Tales
on the
from
list.
Walking
Yeah,
Dead.
I plan to check it out. I'm trying to get caught up on the main show right now when
Yeah.
I can.
I
since
can't.
they're-
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm
I
only a
just-
season
I don't know.
behind, and they're on the stretch run right now.
Yeah,
They're
I
on the
know,
final
on
like
the
some amount of
stretch, yeah.
episodes to the series
I know.
finale.
I should
so-
watch it, and I
About
tell
fucking
myself
time
that
they
every time I
ended.
pass
God
it.
damn.
But then they've got like 3 fucking spin-offs
I
going.
know,
So
just put a bullet in their heads. Just end
Yeah.
Walking Dead. Fuck.
It ended when Carl died for me. I was like,
That's
it.
what happened with a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of
like-
people it ended right when Glenn died. Honestly.
That's
Oh well, because
Yeah.
they're light at heart.
that was when
But
the
Yeah.
mass migration.
They
happened.
can't handle horror.
But the
if
show
you
got
freak
better
out.
with the Whisperers stuff, so I don't know. I mean, it kind of reclaimed some of its old magic
No.
for me.
The Whisperers wasn't bad, but I don't know. I just gotta finish it.
You're literally being
I
All
just
right.
gotta bite
a
the
dead
bullet.
zombie horse.
Next one is Marsha's. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Ghost Island. You're the only one that's
Ghost
watched this one.
Oh.
So this was definitely very campy, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was a fun little Are You Afraid of the Dark? I think it was series, right? It was this.
It's
It was
probably
a couple
the
episodes.
first
few-
two
it was
series
like
were three episodes
three or
each,
four
3 hour-and-a-half
episodes.
long episodes. Yeah.
But I watched it with my kids because I mean it's Are You Afraid of the Dark, so that's what it's for. So that was a good taste of horror, but it's a good ghost story. You know, the kids. You know, you have this island where people disappear in room 13, and so nobody's allowed to stay in room 13 anymore. And then these kids decide they're gonna go to this island because you know a tragedy happened. And so they're like, we're gonna go, we're gonna just live our best lives. And you find out that they used to do stories. They used to tell ghost stories, and then it came up one night on the beach, like some stranger came in and told them the ghost story about Ghost Island, and it started all of these things to happen, and which got him back into the mystery of the ghost story. So it was pretty cool. It was a very interesting story. It was kind of fun to watch. The acting was okay, but yeah, it was very stereotypical characters and just, you know, what you would expect out of a teenage horror show.
I was gonna say, even the setup sounds like a lot of things.
It's like watching, you know, true the story of what it is supposed to be for, and which I enjoyed. My kids liked it. I had fun with it. So I think if you're looking for more of a PG horror theme thing to watch for this Halloween season, then this would be a good one to watch. And if you're a fan of the series, then definitely pick it up.
All right.
There you go.
Next one is, I think, a Fuego Solo, which is Blackbird.
No, this one I did not watch. This was.
Oh.
This was you, right?
Did you watch
Oh,
this?
that was me.
Oh.
And wasn't this.
It wasn't this?
No.
Yeah, it's
that's
an
not,
Apple TV
that's,
Plus
it's an
series.
Apple
I thought
TV.
that's what it was.
No.
All right, let me see if I can pull up the right poster. What
which
you're
is
talking about.
Ray Liotta and the
I forget
it's a
the name of the
serial
actor.
killer, but
He was he played Elton John in
this
the
one.
Elton John biopic.
but the actual
Taylor Edgerton.
yeah, that's that one. So the serial killer, he's actually been in a few things too, as like this really creepy.
Yeah, the dude on the left or the right?
The killer.
Yeah, the dude on the right.
The left.
Oh, the dude on the left is a killer because the dude on the right, he played Elton John. He's also in
Kingsman.
He's the Kingsman kid.
Yeah, no.
He's
so
good.
The whole premise of it is that the one on the right, that guy, he was a.
They don't see him yet.
Yeah, they don't.
Taron Egerton, I want to say his name.
Taron
Okay.
Egerton, yeah.
So he was
Elton John.
running drugs
In the biopic,
and running drugs and all this stuff, and got caught. Did some time, and he was very charismatic, and so the district attorney offered him a deal to go to this maximum security prison and become friends with this alleged serial killer who is about to go get not acquittal, but win an appeal. They think he's going to win his last appeal to get out, but he killed, what they knew at the time, a few girls, pretty bad, 14-year-old girls we're talking here.
Ugh.
College girls, really bad man.
Yeah, fuck him.
So very disturbed man, and he finally agrees to it, and he goes, and it's the story about him trying to get the information of where the bodies are buried, or something that'll keep him in prison. Dude, it was really well done and really well acted. Ray Liotta played the guy's dad.
Yeah, one of his last roles, from what I understand.
Yeah, and he did a really great
I forgot he
job.
wasn't with us anymore.
Yeah. And I just want to say this guy's acting was phenomenal because he had to sit here and listen to this guy talk in detail what he did to this 14-year-old girl who was crying for her mother type of situation. And he had to do it with a smile on his face while portraying in his eyes to the audience that he was deeply affected by what was happening, but he couldn't let the killer know that he was affected because he's trying to get the information. He's trying to be that, that guy. So he did a phenomenal job with the acting, and it was very kind of slow, and it is really disturbing. It's not horror, but it definitely is a true crime fun. And I recommend this to all my true crime friends who are really into it because it is true, based off a true guy.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he killed about he actually did admit to killing 21 girls, but then recanted, and they never found the bodies. So.
Ooh.
Shit.
But I won't give give away what happened, like to like him, because it's just really interesting.
Apple TV Plus, man,
they don't have a lot of stuff, but what they do put out there is quality.
Which is what you and I have talked about with like the Lacey story and with Servant, and I mean, I know C is the one
amazing.
you like, yeah. With
Ted Lasso is amazing.
Yeah.
Like there's
I've heard good
Apple,
stuff about
Apple Plus
Show
has some good fucking shit. I haven't watched that recent one with
Is the Foundation show Apple? I can't remember.
I don't know about Foundation. No, the one that's about the people in the cubicle. That they.
Oh, the one with Adam Scott, right?
Right. The Adam Scott one.
Severance.
Severance. Yeah.
I started
about
watching
that too,
it, and
man.
I didn't finish.
We're feeling it.
Donna and I tried the first episode. We got like 15 minutes in, and we couldn't really get into it. So I need to give it a fair shake later. Because Apple Plus has been. Again, C is really entertaining.
You have that Apple money, man.
Yeah.
I mean.
But yeah, this one's really good. I recommend it.
Nolan P. asked, did you like Severance?
Time.
Yeah, see, no, none of us have seen it yet. We've tried, but we haven't gotten into it yet. So.
I started watching it, and then because I thought that's what you meant on one of the lists, and then I was like, oh wait, that's not what it says. So I went and did something else, and I never went back to it.
I think it was what I meant, and I might have misspelled
it. You did
it
the
and confused
heist one instead, yeah.
Oh, well, we can put it back on. Like, we can put it on there if we want.
Yeah, it was hella popular. I think they have a second season brewing. I don't know if it's confirmed just yet, but
Severance is pretty good, not amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nolan. All right, so let's move on from Blackbird. So now that we barely finished talking about it, and I got it up for like 30 seconds.
Well, at least you got the right picture. I was like, I don't know who I watched that one. I'm like, that doesn't look right.
So the next thing is, I think, a Fuego Solo.
Oh, did you finally watch this?
It's at the Red Box. It hasn't even premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel yet, but it's at the Red
Box.
Box.
This is a legitimate Bring It On sequel. Like a part of the Bring It On.
It's a part of the franchise.
I wanted to watch it, but I didn't want to pay for it. So
it's the first horror.
Okay,
edition.
well, I didn't technically pay for it. I'm one of those people who has all of the stored up points with Redbox, and so I just used a freebie rental for this one and watched it.
That was a waste of points.
Well, I mean that's the thing.
No, because he can bring his opinion to everyone else now.
And they're actually phasing out.
Watch it.
Well, and they're actually phasing out the physical Redboxes right now, and they're trying to go specifically to streaming like VOD rentals and their channels and stuff. But so
what are you questioning?
Okay. Long story short, this movie is pretty goddamn awful.
Yeah.
However,
I am shocked.
From a horror standpoint, it's awful. It's very PG-13. The kills are very lame, with the exception of one in particular where I forget those things where I think you put it on a certain appendage and you puff them up and they expand. It's for like some sort of injury sort of things. You know, if you have like a messed up knee or an elbow or something, you like wrap it around that area where there's like swelling and you're trying to isolate it, and you pump the
I've
little
seen some
handle
people
thing.
advertising that for their neck on
Well,
TikTok.
it's used on somebody's neck in this, and it's one of the only inventive kills, because the rest are like, someone gets drowned in the toilet, and and someone gets stabbed. Lots of stuff off camera. However, I will say, as awful as this movie is,
how are the cheers?
Jerks.
Few and far between, although not awful.
It's a cheerleading movie.
Okay, there's a little bit at the very beginning, and then the story is really dumb about the fact that there's like this person in the administrative department at the school who doesn't like the cheer department, and so they have to go and practice at this old abandoned school that's nearby their school where murders took place or some shit. I don't know, it's all convoluted, familiar. I will say though, there is a awesome gay cheer character in this, and he makes the movie for me. Seriously, the humor, it's so Canadian, this movie, man. And so from a horror standpoint, it's awful, but some of the dialogue actually had me laughing at certain points in this movie. Like when the killer shows up and it's in the mascot, and it's in like the costume of the mascot of their school, and it's like a devil mascot, and so it's going around killing some of them. And this dude cheerleader is running around. They try to go out one exit and it's all chained up, and then they come to another exit and it's all chained up. And he's like, "What, is there like a sale on chains or something?" Like, it's that sort of bit. Like so some of the humor actually landed with me. But I
could appreciate that.
Yeah. And there's this other guy who's trying to hook up with this cheer girl, and he doesn't know she's a virgin, and they're like bonding over tacos. There's a lot of innuendo in this movie, and he finds out she's a virgin after something happens to her, without spoiling stuff, and he's like, you mean virgin, like no penises? So, you know, that sort of dialogue had me kind of laughing and chuckling a little bit.
What?
But as stupid, I know. But yeah, it was like, it was sophomoric American Pie-ish sort of humor.
Well,
The Cheers stuff is very relegated to the side, though.
Well, that doesn't make sense to me. It literally says cheer or die. So I'm imagining the cheerleaders are being forced to cheer until they die.
That does sound like it's what it should be.
Like,
so, I mean,
you better win this cheer off, or I'm gonna kill you.
There's a death
You know?
that happens at the beginning in the past, and then it flash forwards to present day, and so I don't know. It's not a good movie.
Well, that makes me sad.
If you happen to catch it on Sci-Fi, you might get some chuckles out of it, like I did. But it is definitely not something to seek out, and it's very defanged and declawed, being PG-13.
Well, it's sad because the whole premise of Bring It On was it was cheering competitions.
Yeah.
So
like if it was like a cheer competition,
Oh, that's
like,
a part
and, like,
of the story.
like
It's
someone's
just not
killing
really
off
much
like
of
the
it.
cheerleaders.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you got to win the cheering competition, or you're gonna die.
Well,
Like,
they're training because
should
they're
I have
trying to
written
beat
this
this.
movie? Like, come on.
They're like trying to beat this other school
Yeah.
that is much better than them,
If
and
you
so
fall
that's
off the
why they're
balance
doing
beam,
the
you get
Did
additional.
they do
Hills.
spirit fingers?
That's why they're doing the additional training,
you watch
is
the
because there's
original?
this other school they
No,
want.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen any of them. I know there's a lot of them, right? Kirsten Dunst?
Yeah,
say?
I'm a fan. I would have probably watched this. I was going to.
You
but
might
I,
find some.
but
you
I
might
saw it
find
was
some
like,
enjoyment if you like the
Redbox?
franchise.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm not gonna
Fuck
get it. It's
that.
on Redbox. I got Hulu.
Yeah,
I got
it's-
Netflix.
Eddie D says the shadow looks like an oxman or a centaur. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's
so
disappointing.
there you go. That is Bring It On.
hey, Brandon.
Come on.
Jerks Productions
Yep,
in
yep.
the Hizzle.
Next up is the one that they wanted alphabetically, pretty much. So we'll add this in right quick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Marsha,
well,
this is all for you. Dahmerian.
Dahmer! Yay!
Yes. So let
Evan
me-
Peters.
Evan Peters, my hero. I love him.
go.
I don't know if I love him because he's an awesome actor or because he does all the serial killers. I haven't decided.
No one said there's 7 Bring It On movies. Good.
Holy God.
I love
I know
that you
a lot
know
of
that.
them were direct to video, but
All right. So,
So
Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Marsha,
So,
let us know.
Dahmer, I loved this. I love this property. It was amazing. I thought they did a fantastic job.
you're sick.
I am so sick. But it was actually kind of funny because I was watching the first episode in my room because I'm not gonna have the kids like see what was happening on the screen.
You chose wisely.
And Pete comes in and he's all like, "Oh, are you watching Dahmer?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I heard it gets really, really dark like halfway through the series." I'm like, "Halfway through? I'm 40 minutes in. I'm about to pee my pants. Like, I am creeped out. I am ready to leave,
Does
and
it
I'm
get
not even
worse halfway
there." Like, I mean, the whole thing is just like I was like I'm one of those, either fight or flight person, and I would have flown to another state if I even came in close to Evan Peters as Dahmer. Like, he does a fantastic job, and it was just so eerie, and the way they projected it was done well, because I know there's a lot of controversy right now around, like, oh, some people are glorifying it, they're making fun of it,
They're
and
making thirst trap videos with them.
yeah, and
Ugh.
it's kind of ridiculous because if you watch the material, you'll see that they're not glorifying Dahmer anyway. I felt like they were really putting you as a viewer in the shoes of the victims, and to like really understand how horrifying and horrible like everything that he did and what he put these people through was just not
I was
okay.
intrigued by Sam Glass. Sam Glass, a fan and patron of the channel. He's a black man who's gay who has a very particular opinion about the series. But he's like, it was unnerving, but it was a good series. Like, that's the thing. I hear that it's like, the more you've said about it, like, I think I'm gonna have to give it a try at some point.
Yeah.
I do like Evan Peters. I do. But I don't know, I just didn't, I have never been really that into serial killer stuff, but I love good, like, documentary style series.
Yeah.
Is it that style, or is it told as a narrative?
It's a narrative. You're following him through his story, and there are some
I like that
flashbacks
stuff,
and
though.
stuff,
Yeah.
but you
So
are
it's like a
following him.
biopic kind of thing.
Yeah, you're following him through the story, and you do, get bits and pieces of other people's sides as well, because like
It's the Forrest Gump for serial killers.
you see like the impact it had on his family, the impact it had on the victims' families, and also like there's a lot of stuff about society and how they reacted to it, and during that time. And they do talk a little bit about Gacy and how they glorified him.
In the series, huh?
In the series, and they also touch about how the families, were trying to mitigate a lot of the publicity and storytelling and the money making, profitizing against their victims. So I thought they did a really good job, like talking about all of it, not just like, he did these horrible things, like. They talked about all of it, and I thought that meant a lot to me. I thought that made it very worth watch, and I think all the actors, not just Evan Peters, everyone in this film did a fantastic job.
Nowadays, to me, it's always worth it to at least invest the first episode.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't capture me by one episode, 45 minutes to an hour, and I don't want to watch more after that, I'm sorry, that's on you. But that's with as much as we have to consume nowadays.
That's the biggest thing.
Like, that's the thing. But
Dude,
there's so many series that I've done that where I'm like, I'm just gonna give it Arcane. I hear nothing but good things. I'm not a League of Legends guy. I hear so many things. I'm just gonna try one episode of Arcane, and then I'm like, 5 hours later, I'm like, when is the second season of Arcane? Like, it's that's the kind of thing. Like, that's the discovery that has to be made sometimes.
And then we also have the latter, or the opposite side of the spectrum, where we have people who tell us all too often, they're like, just stick with it. Just stick with it. And you're like, well, with so much to consume.
It gets
like,
better. It gets better. It's like, I don't have the time to wait
I mean,
it out
there's
if
some
it's not
things
worth
I
it.
will just because
you need to
I'm
do the
not
sample
watching
size
anything else,
and
but I don't
test
know.
the waters.
Like, I was in it in the first, 10, 20 minutes. I was like, okay.
Just like Smile.
Yeah, like, you got me.
First 5 minutes.
Right.
Oh, I'm here.
Dude, the beginning of Smile, man.
That was so good, right?
Yeah, man.
So Neurodemuz, I just have to say I'm sorry for whatever you've gone through, because it doesn't sound like it was good. So I'm very sorry about that, but I'm glad that you're here with us having some fun tonight.
Yeah.
Nolan Pisa is totally going to watch now, so there you go. You've converted at least one person, Marsha. I'm going to watch it too. I'm going to give it a try.
I feel like I need to also.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's move on, though. That is Dahmer. Let's... Oh no, I just deleted the fucking camera. All right, wrong thing.
We're still here.
I'm still here. It's okay. They can still hear us.
It's gonna be okay.
I can add it back. Give me a second.
Damn it.
Look, because we're live, the program is like chugging along, working at like half speed. So.
Yeah, that's a tough thing.
I mean, after that last review I did,
can I get it in the corner?
Maybe.
It's like the DVD menu thing. Like, can I get it right
there
in
you
the
go.
corner?
That's where you're
I think I got it. That's as
This
good
porridge is
as good as
just
I'm
right.
And
Yeah.
oh!
it's a little off, but it's okay.
Fuck you. God
Look
damn
at the
it.
top. Look at the top.
Oh, I know. Look at that fat border up on top.
Stop it! All of you, stop it!
God damn it.
You're gonna give me a fucking
Look at that big
Cecil
white border
demented.
around it.
Sorry. Cecil be demented. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. Look, it's better than. I almost thought, I was like, what is a
That was the
podcast
John
I could
Waters
start
movie, right?
that would like get attention and involve my name? Like, I feel like I need to start a podcast with someone
Damn it,
who wears a
Cecil.
beanie all the time and do the Cecil and Beanie podcast because of that old Beanie and Cecil show.
Be demented.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That was a John Waters movie?
No. Beanie and Cecil was an old show about a boy, Cecil and the C6 sea serpent. It was a boy and his sea serpent. And
Cecil the Sea Serpent?
yeah, Cecil the C6 sea serpent. So that's what was Beanie and Cecil. That was what I was fighting against my whole life. That's why I never went by Cecil until I went to college.
I never heard of it, so we could have been friends.
Well, that's how old I am. That's the thing. So I wonder if there's enough old people
I didn't
out
go
there
by
that I could start a Cecil and Beanie podcast and people would be like, hey, I get it. Probably not worth it.
I don't
Wow,
know.
super sidetrack. Sorry, guys. I might have had one shot tonight.
I don't know.
All right, let's move
Just
on to the
fun.
next thing. Let's move on to the next
We're
thing.
in W's. We should be in
God
D's.
damn, we have so many.
I know, and you're talking about beanies.
Shut up. All right, Day Shift is next.
All right.
Who else watched this besides me?
Did not.
Oh God, no Tim Pool, thanks. I watched this.
I like this.
I
wasn't
thought
great.
it was okay. I thought
Yeah.
the first half was better than the second half.
Yeah.
It became very average shit for
Yeah.
the second half. The first half was really intriguing.
I enjoyed it enough, but what kind of spoiled this movie after the fact for me was watching the pitch meeting for it, where they're just like all the lore that they built about this
and then
society.
didn't pay off at all.
Yeah, and it's because apparently Jamie Foxx mentioned that they're trying to turn this into a franchise.
Yeah, yep.
Surprise, surprise, you know. But I thought Fox was good. His chemistry with his daughter was pretty solid. There's a very weird car chase scene in the middle of this, though, that was just like very bonkers. I did really like the fact that they incorporated an aspect of almost like martial arts into this. The fight sequences were pretty good. The guy who directed it is apparently a former like stunt coordinator for films of that nature, where there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat.
The big thing is that they hired all contortionists to play the vampires,
which was one of my favorite aspects.
So
of
like
making
they
them
could
different.
do different shit. Like they get folded in half. And
The
it was
old woman at the
practical.
beginning too was
So it was really cool. Yeah, and that's what's interesting about it. Yeah, they brought something different because the vampires moved very unnaturally because everyone was a contortionist.
And you've got some Snoop Dogg in here, which, you know, he's not in a big role or anything. Who I did not like, though, I did not like the Franco kid in this movie. He just kind of annoyed me, man. You know, and his chemistry with Fox was, it was okay, but he plays this impish little worm of a desk guy. With
the desk jockey that gets put in the field.
With the Hunter affiliation. So, I don't know. I mean, as far as Netflix stuff goes, this is kind of on par with the Bronx versus the Vampires or whatever that one. It's like, it's not amazing, but it was fun and, you know, doing at least a few things differently, but not great by any means.
No,
I still enjoyed
agree.
it though.
I was gonna watch it, and then Pete watched it, and he was like, "Eh," and I was like, "Oh,
It is. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's like 3 stars. You know, I mean,
I
I'd give
have
it
40
2.5.
other things on the list to
in that
watch,
range.
and I'm like,
I agree. It was interesting because of a couple of decisions, but again, the whole back half was just like mindless, don't care, no payoff. So yeah, it kind of lost me.
Yeah, I agree. The boss vamp was the woman, right? And all the sub real estate angle.
No, there's supposed to be a bigger boss. Like they mentioned a bigger boss, and then they never
alluded
never
to
show
it.
anyone.
Yeah, and that's where they're like, we're not gonna show the cards until until the end. I wonder if you guys talked
Jay
about
Oliveira, I wonder if you guys talked about the new Jeepers Creepers movie yet. We did a whole review. Yeah, we did a whole separate review for it. So yes, we did. Hello, good to see you, by the way.
I just saw somebody ranking those. Yeah, I think it was Wolf. I think it was Wolf who's got nards. Yeah.
So yeah, Day Shift. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have Netflix already,
they're ranking,
and you don't care, if you have some drinks in you might have a good time. But otherwise, it's just not that great.
Only one good one.
Yeah. This one's you, right?
This is me and Marsha.
Oh, okay. Echoes. Is this a show?
It's
or
a show.
Okay, so
7 episodes.
This was season 1. Okay.
Series.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it?
It's more on the mystery thriller.
It was a series.
It's more on the mystery thriller side of things than anything. I forget the name of the actress, but I do enjoy her.
She's alright.
So you essentially have these two sisters. They're twins, and they, as you find out an episode or so into it, they have, since they were like teenagers, been switching because
And
they're
they're both
identical
married.
twins. Yeah, they're
Oh,
both
good
married.
Lord.
One is in Los Angeles, the other is in Virginia?
Yeah.
I
They just get bored, so they switch.
Yeah, they switch periodically
It's
throughout.
not because they're bored.
Yeah,
you find out why
They're
later.
probably psychos.
I mean, for anybody who might have an inclination to watch this, I don't want to spoil stuff, but it's not great or anything.
It had a really good potential, and there was a lot of like
I
moments
enjoyed the
of like,
setup.
yeah, I did like the setup, and you're like, okay, what is going on? You know.
But then once
then
other
you're
sister
like-
finally shows up by episode like 3 or 4,
Wait.
that's when the show kind of fell off for me.
Yeah.
Wait, I just saw Eddie D's comment. Can't wait for a Wayward Pines reboot. Wait, does that mean that does that mean they're doing it, or
I haven't heard anything.
or you want Wayward Pines?
I don't know,
reboot?
but that's
Nope,
not part of the conversation.
We're going alphabetically, so we have not gotten to the Munsters yet.
If you're cooking dinner, probably good background movie.
Yeah.
Oh, is he talking about the day shift movie on this movie?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I would say with Echoes, it's not really horror. It's more mystery thriller.
Yeah.
Like whodunit kind of ish.
Kind of, yeah, because it doesn't even deliver. Like the back half is not as satisfying as I was kind of hoping it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know, but I thought in a dueling performance, our lead actress is good. You know, and there's some familiar faces of supporting players, like one love interest, and then the husband of But there's like Lenny and Gina, I think, are the names of the two sisters, if I remember
And the
correctly.
cop is from Schitt's Creek. She was,
Oh, the black sheriff.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. She was she was the funny, girl in. Well, they're all funny in Schitt's Creek, but she was in that one, so it was kind of fun to see. And then there's the
in the
guy
early episodes where she's calling
from
her on
White
her
Collar was in it.
where she's calling the one sister on her bullshit, where she's trying to like do the switcheroo and play both of them in the early episodes, and she's just like, it'll be great to see you both at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know. It was.
It's not a bad show, but it's very middle of the
campy
road.
and fun, but it just there was no payoff. So
yeah, not what I had hoped for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not awful though, but yeah.
I wouldn't spend another 8 hours watching.
Yeah, because it was 7 episodes. I mean, they were in like the 40 to 50 minute range. It's something you could watch on like 125.
I feel like Big Sky is more entertaining than that.
Is that the one with Brolin? Josh Brolin?
Open Sky.
Felipe.
Open Sky.
Open Sky.
Felipe. No, Big
Huh?
Sky is a different.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
different.
I remember Big Sky
it's
was
Outer
kind of-
Range.
Outer Range.
Outer
You're
Range.
thinking about Outer Range.
Outer Range was good.
Big
I would-
Sky.
I
I've
say
had Big Sky soda.
Big Sky is like it's another kind of thriller, kind of cop drama thing that Ryan Philippe was in. It's got like 3 or 4 seasons now, but anyway, it's not horror. It's the same, but it has the same tone, and that's why I mentioned it.
So Glorious is next, and I think Robert and Fuego watched this one.
I really enjoyed this.
Shout out Rebecca McKendry, man. Yeah,
this was
she's getting better.
This was one of those movies where, like again, it was a smaller budget. They worked with what sets. Really, they only had one set, or one or two. They had an outside wood area and then inside of a bathroom the entire fucking time. But they executed it well. Like the almost like the mental decay that comes with these cosmic beings and shit, and then also trying to figure out
Voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, what J.K. Simmons' character is and who he is and shit like that. It wasn't like, was it a perfect movie? No. But was it fun? Absolutely.
Yeah, and was it also like nothing I've ever seen before?
No.
Props for originality in that regard too.
And again, with what's his name, Jason something, who played Sookie's brother in
True Blood.
Stackhouse.
Yeah, Jason Stackhouse or whatever. Yeah. But definitely check this out. It's out on Shudder and everything. I definitely recommend you guys checking this out, especially if you're fans of like the Lovecraft universe and those cosmic monsters and shit.
Yeah, and it does kind of skirt into a bit of the psychedelic, which I appreciated.
The color choices
cool.
in this were amazing.
Yeah,
loved it.
if I had altered my
have to make
mind in
comments
some
there.
degree, I would have found it
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
more
good
enjoyable.
Well, it's just
I would
thought he
imagine.
said he wanted to watch it, so.
And it was funny.
Which one?
Like,
Good night.
Good night, mommy.
I had planned to. I mean, we can
Yeah.
still. If you want to talk about it, it's not the end of the world.
We
I mean,
have 38 other ones to talk
Yeah.
about.
Okay, but I specifically
She's
watched
like, I
it.
just watched that.
I specifically watched it.
Yeah, but once again, shout out Rebecca
Sorry.
McKendry. She's got a PhD in like horror films, if I recall correctly. She was actually on a panel many years ago with me and Monty and stuff, and so I've met her. She's cool, and she had previously done that anthology. I think it was All the Creatures Were Stirring, which I thought was just okay. But this is a big step up as far as just craft and performance and originality.
but also too, like that little like it wasn't much of a ooh, that's a twist.
Yeah.
It was a.
Oh yeah.
It was
Did
a
you
little-
like it? Did you like it?
It was satisfying enough.
I agree.
It was satisfying enough for.
I didn't find it off-putting.
for what his character was. No, it wasn't
Yeah.
off-putting, and it didn't
Yeah.
completely throw you off
Because he ends up in this kind of park ranger rest stop-y sort of area.
Oh yeah.
like,
It was basically just like a rest, like one of your normal highway rest stops and everything.
Yeah, but with like woods surrounding it and everything. And so he has gone through a rough breakup, and he's like drinking himself to pieces and all this different shit. But there's a revelation about the nature of the breakup and some backstory about him that does put stuff into a different light later in the film.
Absolutely, which also like it makes that final scene kind of satisfying.
Yeah.
It really does. So yeah, it's on Shudder, guys.
Yeah,
Go
I
check
recommend
out
it.
Glorious.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's got a pretty damn good soundtrack to it too.
Yeah, that as well.
Ben Grimm says bathroom horror on the come up with Glorious, and we need to do something. I did not like.
I didn't like that either. I mean, it was okay. We saw it
terrible.
at
We saw it,
SFF.
bad. Next one is Gone in the Night. Winona Ryder.
Yeah, this is one that actually did get a brief theatrical run a few months ago, and it's been on VOD and the Red Box once again, which is where I got it. So this is one where essentially I compared this to another film that we had seen recently, which the title is eluding me, but showing Barbarian, you show up at an Airbnb and there's already people there, and they're like, oh, well, we booked this too, blah, blah, blah. It's Winona Ryder's character, and she's a teacher at a local university. She deals specifically with botany, and she's dating one of her students and has been for a little while, so he's a lot younger than her. And they show up at this cabin, and there's already another couple there, and it's actually, oh goodness, I forget the name of the dude. He was in The Stand, playing Harold, and then he was also, yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, because people will recognize the actor. He also played Patrick Hockstetter in the It 2017, guy. The tall, lanky dude. But he's the boyfriend of the other couple that's there. And then so Winona's boyfriend goes missing, allegedly with the girlfriend of the other couple. And it just turns into her trying to find out what the hell happened to him, and it unravels into something that I actually quite enjoyed. I mean, it's not knock my socks off or anything, but Winona continues to show that she is seeing this little career renaissance, not just Stranger Things, but she can carry a feature. Her performance was really good, and she had solid chemistry with the owner of the cabin, who she contacts to try to find out what the hell happened to this disappeared boyfriend of hers. And so I don't think it's streaming anywhere unless you want to VOD it and pay the rental price. But yeah, I mean, this was a solid one. I don't know if I would have paid to see it in a theater. Kind of glad that I didn't in that regard. But yeah, Winona still has it, man. So yeah, I was impressed. I dug it.
No more purse stealing for her.
Yeah, right. That's what got her blacklisted for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Next up is Good Madam.
Is this another
one?
Oh,
I watched that one.
Yeah,
okay.
I watched this too.
Wait, I did that one too.
There you go.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was. I think this was a July release, if I remember.
Was
it?
Yeah.
On Shudder. But yeah, because we're doing primarily July and August. So this is one about a woman whose mother has been a caretaker for this white woman in South Africa for a very long time, and the white South African woman who owns this beautiful home, she's on pretty much her deathbed, and our main character basically shows up to live in the home with her daughter after having some family struggles, and it's really just trying to deconstruct not only the racial dynamic between the indigenous people of South Africa, obviously, but the white colonials and from Europe that came and basically took over large areas of that country,
right.
But also just the servant, and they talk about just like indentured servitude and slavery and some of the stuff, and then going back into all of the people who owned this property before. It's not super scary, but I thought performances were pretty good.
It was pretty creepy.
It was creepy.
Yeah,
at times,
because like the owner of the house was in a room that you couldn't open the door to, and just a lot of heavy something bad is going on here.
There's a feeling of dread throughout the movie.
Yeah, and you're not quite sure what it is and what's going to happen, and then when it starts to escalate, you're like, oh, okay.
And then the third act,
pretty heavy.
It takes its time, but the third act things do really escalate. Yeah. I will give it that.
Yeah, but I thought they did. I thought it was a really well done movie. It definitely wasn't something I expected, and and I thought all the acting was pretty good. And,
across the board.
Yeah. And like you said, it was pretty heavy, but at the same time, it was a pretty good payoff, and the twists were worth it. So.
Yeah, and I also enjoyed the fact that you had a nice mixture of both native tongue and also English, and so that was good. And just giving the emphasis upon those who originally were in South Africa, as opposed to the dynamic. Yeah, he's been wanting attention through the video. But yeah, this is another one. As far as the tons of Shudder releases, because they put out pretty much a new release every Thursday, I think it is, and this is one that, even though Marcia and I watched it a few months ago at this point, it's worth seeking out. And Shudder, like most of their new releases are at least worth your time.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is one I can discuss.
Yeah.
Called Hatching.
Oh, this one.
Yes. So we watched this. This is a really good independent horror movie.
When I started and fell asleep during, unfortunately. So yeah, this is
okay.
all new. I think it's on Hulu now.
Yes, it's on Hulu, and it is very much worth your time. This is so cool. So this girl that, if I'm not mistaken, is in an abused family, right?
Yep.
kind of neglected more.
Yeah, neglected
she's more
slash
on, like,
abuse. I
neglected,
mean,
like, well, it's more of like the pageant mom abuse. So it's like, keep going,
right?
keep going,
Yeah, I
keep
mean
going.
that's So I think that
the
counts.
mom's living vicariously through her child.
This
Right.
all too often happens in these situations.
And so what happens is this girl comes across an egg, and she decides to take it home and care for it the way that she is not being cared for by her own mother.
Yep.
As she cares for it, and every time that her life gets hard, she cries around it, and it seems to feed on these emotions, sympathetically or via osmosis, whatever you want to say, because sometimes she'll come back and the egg has grown substantially, and at one point it grows huge to where she's like laying on the egg. It's like it's where she goes to put her abused energy, you know what I mean? And one day the egg hatches, and there is a really fucking awesome practical bird monster that emerges and starts to defend her, stand up for her, so to speak.
Oh, wow.
And it's really fucking cool, and it's just a brilliantly made independent horror film. It's not
a
of
European
huge
movie,
budget.
if I
It's
remember
very
right.
small scale, but the bird creature is dope looking, and it's really cool.
The practical effects of this movie was definitely solid.
Save the budget for that, right?
Absolutely. This movie was thoroughly enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
From the story to the acting, even the music of it. It helped sell the scenes a lot more. I'm still honestly, I felt like the ending fell a little flat.
Yeah. Okay.
It was just like they're just kind of just like, what's the easiest? We'll just do this kind of thing.
Maybe.
It is what it is.
I didn't run into that issue. I still enjoy. I don't remember specifically what happens at this point because we watched it 2.5 months ago.
I do.
So
I do. I didn't.
yeah, fair enough. Maybe I'll defer to Robert on the ending, but I remember enjoying the movie. So
no, for the whole of it, yes, this is a very enjoyable movie, and I do recommend people definitely checking this out.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. So that's Hatching. A big surprise because we watched this as a trailer reaction, and we were all like,
It was briefly
"That
in
looks really
theaters,
good."
and we were gonna go to a
Give us-
theater to see
give
it.
us
I almost did, yeah.
Because it's a creature movie. We love creature movies more than a lot of other things.
Very
I'm
much.
not a big slasher guy.
Same.
Smile.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh God, I don't know. Excuse me.
I don't know.
So let's move on to another one. This is a Shudder movie, right? Or Netflix. Oh,
Yeah.
Netflix.
Am I the only one who watched this?
Yes,
I
I think
so.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because I was talking with Dave about it last week, and he had seen it. Producer Dave actually gave it a recommendation.
He
as
did
well.
actually. Yeah.
Oh,
He's
he did. I was
David
going to
never
watch it.
watches horror movies,
He
but
said
he
he was
watched these like we
surprised by
really
it.
need to watch this.
Yeah,
one.
this so it starts out more of a dramatic thriller initially on. So the name of the actor I can't recall. He was Bill DeFoyle, as Cecil dubbed him in 11/22/63. He was also in the 1917 film as our lead in that exceptional movie about World War One. But so he at least starts out as our lead character, and he is somebody who breaks into these elite homes of people in London and just defaces the inside of these rich homes of like politicians and doctors and stuff like that, and he spray paints "I came by." That's his thing. And so he has this best friend who assists him with the process, and that friend has decided he doesn't want to do this anarchy sort of upheaval shit anymore because he's about to have a child. And so they go after this one particular he's like a judge or something. Anyway, long story short, you find out some stuff about this judge, and that's when it morphs into a horror movie. And we're talking, I really don't want to spoil too much, but captivity is, I guess,
Grotesque
about
depravity.
torture, captivity, stuff like that. And it really, to quote producer Dave last week, he's like, that movie went some places I was not expecting, and I can second that notion. I was impressed. This was one that, just like since Netflix has so much shit that they put out, a lot of the time they don't really promote it at all because there's just such an abundance. And this is one that just went under the radar of a lot of people. I remember Bloody mentioned it when a trailer first hit, but really not much else in the press beyond that. And I dug it. This is worth seeking out. Don't expect horror right away. It is kind of that slow burn, but once the reveal of what somebody is doing in this movie, it's tense, and I really dug it. Great performances, especially our villain, and worth seeking out.
All right. Next up is, I think, another Fuego one called Incantation.
remember this one. I don't think
It's
I
like
watched
a
this
foreign.
one.
Oh, what?
I don't think I had this one
It
matched down.
was marked.
Was
I
it?
thought.
I mean, I can double check.
Let's
but-
check right now.
Yeah.
Which
Let's
one
check
is
right
it?
now.
What is it
Let's do it.
about?
I think I had it on there, but
Incantation.
Oh, I watched
Yeah,
it.
both of you watched it.
Oh wait, is this
I
the
think I-
Korean? No,
Yeah.
the Thailand
I must have
one?
Thailand
I
one,
must have
yeah.
mismarked this one then, like an
Oh.
idiot. Yeah, I did not watch this one.
No, this is the
Oh,
Thailand one.
I started this one at the late one night
Is
and I
it
did not finish
The
it.
one where, like,
It's
is this the one where
it's
the
a Korean,
documentary?
It's a South Korean movie, if I
I
remember
thought it was
correctly.
Thailand.
Maybe it's Thai. I know it's from that area of
With the
Eastern
documentary,
Asia.
right?
No, there was a different one that was the documentary. You know what?
Oh.
Let's just skip
Let's
this.
just skip it 'cause I don't
Yeah, we're
remember.
sorry, guys. Yeah, I
Alright.
know it was a Netflix film, and then
Did
there
I
was
watch
also the
this?
School Days or the School Stories or something, which is another one that I
No,
didn't
yeah,
get to.
no.
So
All right, never mind. on
sorry,
that one.
peeps.
Sorry, guys.
We said
Yeah,
we did
there's
it,
an
but we
abundance
don't
of other stuff
remember.
to discuss. So
So instead, we're going to move on to the 5th and final season of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. Marcia and I watched this.
Oh wait,
I
I,
watched
do
it, too.
remember the movie now. Can we go back?
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
You sure?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It was like a found footage
30 seconds, spin out,
documentary series.
I
and
remember the very
it-
beginning.
it's
kinda.
yeah, I think you're right. It was a Korean, and there was like
Mhm.
these 3 like ghost chasers.
Oh.
It was a boyfriend and girlfriend and a best friend, and they wanted to go to this tunnel that was like nobody
Right,
could
that's
go
right.
into,
Yeah, I started this
and
one and didn't
you're
finish
not allowed to actually go into this village without permission.
Mhm.
You have to be part of the village, but I think it was the
They say it's
Thailand,
No,
okay.
says it's Thailand, I think.
so
Okay.
they so I think it was either the boyfriend or the best friend. One of them had a uncle that was in the village and let them in, and they made a huge deal about the woman being there, but and they went anyway, and it was messed up. Like they were doing like very like culty, satanic
You're
kind
jogging
of
my memory. I think I did watch all of
things.
this, but it was like 3 months ago now.
yeah, and sacrificing and stuff like that. It was really well done, and it just like it's been forever since I've watched
Okay.
it,
Yeah,
but.
yeah.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's enough of a tease for people.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done. Definitely a few jump scares in there, and I mean, it is foreign, so you're gonna have to read the subtitles. But I thought they did a pretty good job.
Oh,
It was very
that's-
dark and very gruesome, and kind of very psychological too. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of the casualties of waiting 3 months in between.
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
roundups.
Sorry guys,
Yeah,
but I'm
it's
glad I
busy.
remember because
Busy.
It was
worth,
all
it was
scheduling
worth talking
stuff,
about.
yeah.
It was worth talking about, and I do recommend it. So.
Yeah.
So next up is the 5th and final season of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous.
Yeah, which the 3 of us watched. right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was better than season 4,
Mhm.
but still not as good as the rest of the seasons. And I felt like they really tried to crowbar in a relationship.
It focused way too
in the
much on
last
the relationships
season, yeah.
between the kids.
It was
Yeah.
like not
I still
necessary.
wanna
And not
say-
friendship, like love, like sort of thing, or like relationship
Yeah.
relationships.
I still want to say, like, I watched this is about the same time I finally watched the Jurassic World movie.
Oh.
The
I
Minion?
finally,
Yeah.
I finally watched it at the
Mhm.
same time, and I was like, I prefer watching this Camp
Mhm.
Kitchen. I wish I had that on the screen versus like the new Jurassic
The
World
Locust movie?
Yeah, I was like, why couldn't they have just like integrated the 2 worlds? Wouldn't that have been fun? But they didn't.
No.
Yeah.
But I thought it was
Which
still
they
kind of
did
fun.
a lot better in the first couple seasons, doing the whole in between
Yes.
movies sort
Yep.
of thing. This one, this last season, it kind of went out with a whimper for me a little bit, unfortunately, which is a bummer because I did really like all of these characters quite a bit.
Yeah.
In their various,
We're getting into the tech and like forcing them to the dinosaur fights and
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right, with the hand, like where
Yeah,
they were
literally
controlling
remote
them.
controlled dinosaur
Yeah.
and
fights.
actually have like the villain.
A few left of the Brad robots from season 4 that were really lame and stupid. So
Yeah.
Well,
it was just I agree.
And the kid bonding with his father and everything.
Yeah, the big
like,
bad-
why are we still here?
The
Like,
big bad
let's
being
get off the
Kenji's dad was
island.
at least
yeah, I was trying to
something.
remember his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
It was at least something, but it just didn't really the payoff wasn't worth it. I think the first 3 seasons are a good time,
Yeah.
and then season 4 and 5, just forget about them.
Yeah, at least we had
I had fun with it.
Yeah,
I mean, at least a couple characters died. Some of the baddies that were on the
Yeah.
island, like researching the
Off
you
camera.
did.
Off camera.
You
I mean,
did
but
get a couple kills, which was different.
Off camera.
I mean,
kills.
yeah, because
It's a cartoon for
Off camera.
children.
it is. Yeah, it's Y7 if I'm not mistaken. So
Don't care.
It still
Yeah.
freaked my kids out. They're like, "Oh God, the dinosaurs eating people." I'm like,
yeah,
yeah.
like scenes
Yeah.
of mild
what
terror.
dinosaurs
That's what they
do.
classify it as,
They
right?
eat.
All right, so the next one is, I think, Fuego and Marsha. Keep breathing.
Oh,
This is
I
Hatchet.
love this. I loved it. It's not very horror, but it is kind of a survival horror, I guess.
Oh yes, where she's with the drug
Yeah.
runners and they
Yeah.
crash in
And-
what, Alaska or Canada or somewhere up there.
I don't know.
Somewhere up north.
Washington.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, no, because she's trying to visit her mother, right? And so she
Yeah.
was she was
I
trying to have
I
them.
don't know where she was going. I know she's going to visit her mom, but like I don't know where they were. But she's like basically
It kept flashing back to how much of a shitty character she was.
they crash into into a freezing lake in the middle of I'm saying nowhere.
No cell signal.
You were in
nothing.
the mountains and trees and
It's Hatchet,
bears.
yeah.
And this was
Okay.
only 6 episodes, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it was really well done. She was fantastic. I did appreciate the flashbacks as she's trying to figure out how to survive, and then as well she's dealing with her stuff, and then the hallucinating
Flashbacks to her relationship with the guy she worked with, who was like one of her subordinates, and she's all standoffish at first, and then gets involved with him, and then
Yeah.
she's like not the most likable person a lot
No.
of the time in this, so she does have an arc of rising to the occasion, and one of the guys who dies in the crash does work as another ghostly sort of thing that appears to her, and it's all in her head, obviously.
Yeah.
But
So you're she's trying to stay alive without going completely mad, but she is kind of going mad, and
she holds her own though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's very much the same sort of like a Castaway sort of thing, where you have one actor that has to shoulder pretty much
the whole
everything, and she does a damn good job.
Yeah.
She truly does.
I was just really impressed with it.
She
I thought
drops
they did
loads
a
of
really good
F-bombs though, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
She's like, fire, fuck yeah, blah blah blah. And then, yeah.
job. Yeah, so I thought it was really well done.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have said it was a horror per se.
No,
but
it's survival thriller kind
Yeah.
of thing,
Yeah.
along the lines of like Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
so.
Yeah.
All right, so next up is going to be Locke Key Season 3. I agree.
I didn't hate it, but it's just this show has come so far from
They're so
just
dumb.
from
Yeah.
the awesomeness
I could-
of the first season.
I just-
man.
okay,
I mean,
sorry.
For
I'll wait.
people with access to keys like this, they are really stupid. They don't use them smartly. The problem I had with this season is it was only 8 episodes, and the first 4 was spent redoing shit that we had done way back in
with
season
Bodhi
1.
and
Bodhi being possessed.
The mom going back to the
mom
ball.
going back to worried about that and all this shit. It was just it's stuff that we've seen before. They introduced this character, this soldier from back in the day that wasn't even in the it was in the book, but not in the way they did it here. He was just a flashback situation.
And that was my biggest issue with this, was because they had already pretty much done the run of the comics at this point, and this was the season where the writers were trying to do their own thing and expand even beyond the books, and it fell so flat because
It
of
was
that.
so
in
But it
my
was a
opinion.
final season too. They tried to wrap it up.
They
and it was
did
so
incorporate
poor.
some of the stuff with.
The thing that drove me nuts is they did in every episode they do the same exact thing. They're like, "Oh, I found a key. I know I shouldn't just mess with it, but I'm going to anyway." In the middle of the most ridiculous moment I could probably do it. I'm not gonna have anybody watch me or be here, and then
Literally, there's a wedding going on outside that I should be a part of, but I'm gonna fuck around with a brand new
right,
key.
exactly.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. And all of that stuff.
The last episode I almost froze to death because I was just not paying attention to what I was doing. But let me go ahead and put this key in. Like what?
No learning on Bodhi's part.
I can't handle characters who just refuse to learn from their mistakes and actually grow. And every single person in this series do the exact same thing over and over and over.
Yeah. Once again, going out with a whimper, like I said about
Yep.
Cretaceous, and
Agreed.
I mean, I love this comic so much, and I can thank Cecil for making sure that I got to it when we reviewed all of the different volumes of it. And so I still really enjoy the first season of this show, but the second was where they were kind of half and halving it with original ideas and with the source material, and then this one was where it was just a sprinkling of it, like the stuff with the two sisters in the globe at the beginning, or the sister witches, or whatever the hell they were. Like, that was underdeveloped, and I really did not like the cheesiness of these British revolutionary soldiers. Like, they were really bad villains. There's one scene where they're like driving around in a car with him, and he's like sticking his head out like a dog, and it was just so like the humor didn't land for me in this. And I mean, Kinsey's still good. All three of the kids I thought were still good. Too.
She's all like, okay, brother, I know you really want to forget about the keys. Let me get you drunk and just blow your mind and make and break your heart all over again.
Yeah,
even though you just left for 6 months because your heart was broken.
And that love interest with him and the girl he was working on, like, that was pointless. And then, the girl who he was working on houses with out of state, and it just, I don't know. I'm sad it's over, but I'm sad that it, disappointed so much at the end. So.
Yeah.
So the next three I don't know much about. I'm gonna step out while Fuego, I think, talks about these, because I gotta go say goodnight to my family before they go to bed.
Yeah.
Starting with Moloch, then Monstrous, and on the third day. So if you finish with one, just get rid of the eye and open up the eye of the next one.
I'll take your spot.
Thank you. All right. I'll be back in just a minute while Fuego discusses these. All right,
Big man chair. Alright, Moloch.
Okay, sorry, my phone is getting blown up right now. Moloch, okay, so this is another Shudder original from a few months ago. I believe this was another one of the July releases, and despite being a little tried and true with its tropes, as far as, okay, there's an area in Europe, I'm trying to remember if it's Scandinavia or if it's anyway, European country where there is, like, in this particular town, a woman who was killed in a just unceremonious and nasty sort of fashion, and allegedly her ghostly presence is still, like, sort of there. But the real crux of the story is the fact that there is this archaeological dig that is going on, and they start discovering these completely preserved corpses in this specific area where these researchers are, and there is a family farm that is closely approximated, and their family has a direct connection, without spoiling stuff, because the story does, at least despite the trope of, haunted town, whatever sort of thing, it does develop into something interesting when you find out the connection between this family and how a mother was killed, and how it's one of those almost Lovecraftian, okay, there is a sacrifice that has to go down for this community to maintain some sort of stability. And
small town cult kind of thing.
Very much so. And so that really, for this, it's the performance of our lead lady, whose mother, was killed in this really horrible fashion. And she actually, if I recall this movie correctly, she witnessed it, and she was like hiding like in the basement when this was going down. It was either her or her grandfather. It's once again, you watch this in July, and it's like 3 months removed and stuff, but.
Would you recommend people checking it out?
I would definitely recommend checking this one out, because as the connection starts to unravel, it at least distinguishes itself a little bit, and also the acting from our lead lady, her and her father specifically have like a real nice dynamic. She doesn't get along with her mother particularly well, and then she also has kind of a little love interest thing going on with the head of this dig. And this is another film that is in both English and the native language of this European country, so you will have to deal with some subtitles, but, if you're okay with that, and I found the ending very satisfying as well.
Cool.
Without spoiling anything, it is a little on the darker side, which I always appreciate. And so, Moloch, it's another Shudder exclusive, at least for the foreseeable future from what I understand. So check out Moloch, even if it is a little in the familiar territory. It checks all of those boxes, in a very capable fashion. So,
Very cool.
Onward.
Yes.
To Monstrous.
Monstrous. So I watched this. I think the same Redbox rental night, I did a double feature of Gone in the Night with Winona, and then another 90s star in Christina Ricci. who is in this film Monstrous. And so this is another one that was briefly in theaters, and then it ended up on premium VOD, then to regular VOD, and then to the red box where I can just use points for it. So Christina Ricci's character is essentially not so much on the run, but she is in retreat of an abusive husband. She has taken her son with, and they are renting this beautiful yet remote, enormous home in the 1950s, and so she's left the husband, and yet he's calling, and you start to kind of realize early on that she is suffering from some aspects of mental illness. And it's another one of those, Marcia, like we were talking about the trauma, big time.
Mental.
Yes, yes, big time sort of stuff. She, Marcia was saying before this filming that she's seen a lot of these films.
This year is very heavy on the trauma-related horror sites.
Yeah. This is it's a little bit tamer. This is not R-rated or anything like that. So it's very much, I can't remember if it's PG or PG-13, but inconsequential. It's not full-on horror. It's more like dramatic thriller and character study of Christina's character, because she's trying her damnedest to keep it together, but the son is being kind of picked on at school and not making a lot of friends, and so he's having a tough time. And then she has started this new job, but she starts like boozing a little bit on the job as a coping mechanism, because the husband is still trying to contact her, and she even has landlords that are being a little rude to her. And so, is there a comment that I should...
No, I was putting Marcia, where she was
Sorry.
Marcia was spazzing out there for a second.
Yeah, there is a reveal, though. There is a twist that puts the story into a different context. I'm not sure how much I liked it. That's one of the few detriments. Not that I could see it coming or anything, but I don't know how effective it really was. And it's with regards to her mental state and, like, where she thinks she actually is without really getting into it. And then there's also this aspect of her son thinks that he's seeing this monstrous creature that's out in this lake that is nearby, hence the
I feel
title.
like I watched the trailer.
You
for
saw
this.
a trailer, I think. Yeah, at least I know we reacted to a trailer for this because it was going theatrical. But I mean, Ricci is good in this. Once again, I will echo the same thing that I said about Winona Ryder in the Gone in the Night movie, and the fact that both of these women still show that they can. I mean, Christina Ricci was great in Yellow Jackets, so I mean, so both of these women show that they can do supporting stuff on TV, but they can still carry a feature themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, they're very talented.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Christina Ricci's
It's just
and that talent doesn't just go away.
Yeah, well, I mean,
just the opportunities might not be as frequent.
Well,
exactly.
I've heard a lot of like female friends of mine that are into cinema, whether TV or movies or both or whatever. They're like, as women age in Hollywood, they don't have it as good as a lot of aging men in Hollywood, you know, because you're supposed to be young and hot and blah, blah, blah. And both of these women, I think, are late 40s, early 50s at this point, And
but
so
they're icons.
They are.
So it's
most
like,
stuff,
they're going to be working until they're not.
Yeah.
And they're both these, like, gothy icons, too, from the 80s and 90s,
Yeah, they're. I mean, and Christina Ricci just got on Wednesday, right? So
she has a small role on it, from what I understand.
Well, I think she mainly just as a producer.
Oh, I thought she was in
I think she's
Well,
she's in like an episode or two,
okay.
right?
Just
But-
a cameo.
She's not Morticia. I thought she was Morticia.
No, she's got it's Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, so
is
it is.
Morticia.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
Ricci still got it, man, and I'm very glad that she got to showcase some of her skills in this, even if I thought the script was a little lacking.
What is this on?
It's at the Red Box. I don't know if it's...
Red Box.
I could look real quick to see if it's streaming anywhere. I might as well. As she
Well, they can look it up.
switches to the next slide.
Yeah, they can look it up if they want to check it out. Okay, so the next one is On the Third Day, and I think this is another solo one for you.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is one that I am trying to remember now.
Oh, well, my Lanza.
Yeah, when there's like 40 of these. Okay, Monstrous is on Paramount Plus, so Paramount Plus, Showtime, there you go. On the third damn day, man. I mean, I'm trying to remember. On the third. Sorry, guys. Or we can just skip. No say.
Well, we're still waiting for Cecil and everything.
Oh, okay. Now I remember this. This is
What
this
are
is
you doing, Marsha?
Nothing.
So this is a Shudder. This is another Shudder exclusive. Once again, one that I watched in July. So July, August. It's been it's been about 3 months since I watched this. But so this is kind of a vampiric sort of thing. So there's this woman who gets in a car crash, and she basically, the car crash that she gets in is with this priest guy who is transporting a box, and the box has a vampire in it. I guess I will at least divulge that sort of amount.
Wait, did we do a
We
reaction?
did a reaction to this, yeah. It's not great. So she basically wakes up. So on the third day, despite the fact that
in the box or something else?
there's something else. What's in the box? So she crashes her vehicle after getting distracted by somebody who's broken down. She looks at this woman who's been broken down, takes her eyes off the road, and she crashes into another vehicle. And in that other vehicle is this priest guy who is transporting a box that has a vampire in it. And so, after the accident, she
drivers.
basically, like she's
Just my luck.
quote Chucky, yeah. So on the third day is not just a reference to the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but it's also a reference to the fact that she wakes up in this like abandoned home on the third day after her and her son's disappearance. So she wakes up, can't find her son, and so she goes to the police, and the police are attempting to assist her, but she's kind of going through the transformative aspect of becoming, what she encountered. Yeah, it is a foreign film. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's Spanish. It's from Spain, if I'm not mistaken. But there is a solid performance from not just our lead, the mother who's trying to find her son, but also I like the reveal of what the vampire looks like once we finally get to it.
Yeah.
She also has an estranged husband who she is trying to keep her son away from, so they share custody, but she's trying to cancel visitation and stuff like that. So you do have a dramatic subtext as well that is played into. But this movie is at its strongest when the woman is going through her transformation and in the disbelief about what she might be becoming, because she starts doing some messed up stuff to a few different people, and it happens early on too when she's in recovery and she's being evaluated by this doctor who she kind of has a little love thing that starts out with. But this is another, most of the Shudder originals that I've watched, guys, between Moloch, between this on the third day, between Glorious, there's a lot of killer stuff on there, man.
Shudder
there really
definitely
is.
has a stronger grasp on their independent properties.
Yeah. And once AMC purchased them, and AMC is owned by Viacom, huge corporate conglomerate, they have the deeper pockets now to purchase these films out of the festivals and make them exclusives on Shudder. So on the third day, I definitely recommend.
Tubi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
so there you go. That is on the third day, streaming exclusively on Shudder.
And I think we're waiting for Cecil for the next.
What is the next one?
The next one is
Orphan's
Orphan.
first.
Oh yeah. So without getting deep dive into it, did you watch this or no?
No, I kept meaning to, but then I never watched the first one, so I was like, eh.
Yeah. I caught the first one. I caught I don't have cable, but I was at a friend's house or somewhere, and I saw on TV the second half of the original film with Vera Farmiga, and honestly, I dig the first film. I feel like the first film is a little bit more serious and accomplished
I don't
in
know
comparison.
how to stand.
But yeah, Cecil and I were the two that watched this. I think it's still in a few select theaters, but they rolled it out same day and date as they did on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
And so we're talking. We just started discussing Orphan First Kill. I was asking if either of them had seen it besides you and me. So
First, you fucked that up.
I didn't do anything wrong.
You were spazzing out hard.
I didn't do anything wrong.
That's not a word we can use anymore.
spazzing.
Hey?
Yeah.
Eh?
Spazzing is no
Hey,
longer a
for
good word.
Really?
Yes, we cannot use spaz anymore.
Do you want to elaborate on the connotation?
No.
No, it's yeah.
Just don't do that.
What is that? Another definition they changed?
No, it's generally referred to people with disabilities that have involuntary movements. If I'm not mistaken.
I can see that. Okay.
And so no longer, because singers had to change lyrics because of that word being in their lyrics this year.
Oh my fucking god!
You're always surprised, Robert.
It's just ridiculous.
No, we're getting to the Munsters soon.
I'm not making any comments.
Orphan First Kill was okay. I like the first movie better.
Same.
Most of this was just kind of a pale imitation, and with a movie like this, when you know what the twist is and what's going on with her, you're just waiting until it happens. In this movie,
Monsters. Sorry.
we're gonna get it's the. There's a lot of thes, unfortunately. So, but yeah, this one, it does have a twist, a different twist that I didn't see coming, which was cool, but...
With the Julia Stiles character?
Right, yeah, but then it just doesn't really... I don't care after that either. Like, I didn't care before, I didn't really care after the twist. It was just okay. Like, Orphan was okay the first time around. I wasn't such a big fan that I was really excited to see this, but it was fine. It was okay.
I thought you said you really liked it. That's why I was thinking about watching it.
No, I mean it's
good.
It's, the
it's
twist
good enough,
is good,
I guess.
but it's.
I meant the first one.
No, the first one's First
the one
one's
with Vera
definitely worth it.
Farmiga is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
this
and that
one was just kind of okay.
Yeah, because that one took itself significantly more seriously than this one. This one's a bit goofier at times, and I don't know, the lead actress girl, who is now she's grown up and started playing an even younger version of herself, at least by a smidge, which her interactions with Stiles, like Julia Stiles, shown in what her character became in this, which I really did appreciate, and it's nice to see her still getting work, which is cool. But yeah, this was definitely campier, a little higher on the cheese factor, and it was funny because I watched the prequel and then I immediately went and rewatched the original, and there's a ton of callbacks, the song specifically that she's singing, which they play in the end credits of this. I was actually glad that I didn't remember the original as well, because that did leave the transition from prequel to original a little bit more of a mystery to me, because they mention in the original what happens to this family and stuff. But yeah, not great. I mean, if you have Paramount Plus, definitely check it out. But it's from the same director as The Boy, and Brahms' The Boy too, and so that's the quality of horror that you can kind of expect from this.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, next up is something that I'm very excited to talk about.
Yes.
It's not altogether horror, but there are definitely... Look, there's a soul risen from hell into a monolithic creature. So there are definitely some horror-adjacent things, but... This is a full 10-episode season, the second season of this show. The first season... as Fuego reminded me earlier, was broken up into two different segments. There was part 1, which was 5 episodes, and then part 2, and then they did season 2, which was all 10 episodes with no break. There was one episode that was out of time, where it was not Spear and Fang.
I really liked
it.
It
took place many years later.
That was this season?
Yes, in this season.
I think I saw something.
But this is the end of Spear and Fang's story, so that's what's interesting about it. Like, they're not sure if they're going to continue the show, but
I've heard they want to. But...
He did say if it continues, it will not be about Spear and Fang. So it was really good. A wonderful season. The animation is incredible. It's a mostly wordless animated program, and so it's told almost exclusively through visual storytelling, which is why it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, show not tell, as you always say.
Yeah, the brutality in the animation of this show has always been the highlight, and I've always given it high praise since the first time I started watching it. I'm sad that this is the end of Spear and Fang, but at the same time it was kind of a happy ending to a lesser degree. But man, some of the different cultures and everything that they go through, and they fight, they go through like the Vikings, shit like that.
So it's a myriad in this season too, just like the last one.
And they do a really good job, and even the characters, like you mentioned, it's roughly a wordless show. They do have different dialects for different people that you come across, but this just again, storytelling via animation, it's still emotional on certain aspects. It hits you in the heart feels sometimes.
Yeah,
definitely, if you guys haven't checked out Primal, highly recommend this.
It's a very worthwhile show. It's two 10-episode seasons that are a half hour each.
It's on HBO, right?
Yeah, very worthwhile.
Damn,
You can watch it with the kids. It's gory, but it's animated gory.
Yeah.
She's like,
honestly, like the monkey and the zombie one might be a little.
Soren was watching a lot of it, and like he would start to ask for it. He'd be like, "Rack," because he would like the T-Rex. So he would ask for it, and then we saw the monkey episode from season 1, where they're beating the shit out of each other, and he's like, "Gary," and then he started to hide from the show, so we can't have him see the show anymore. But he was loving it. He was loving it, but they're obviously a good deal older than him.
Yeah.
So. All right. So,
check check out Primal if you have not.
Yes. I've only watched the first season, but it was exceptional, man. I loved it. And I mean, it's the animator, the creator of this. He did Samurai Jack, and he did the original Clone Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he was happy to be doing a no holds barred sort of show, from what I understand. So.
I love Samurai Jack.
All right, guys, we're already at an hour and a half, and we still have almost half the alphabet left. So
That's
we
fine.
gotta start
We're
cruising.
gonna keep
All right,
going.
let's cruise.
We got 33 people in the chat.
Pussycake.
Oh, this movie, man. Exclusives to Screambox right now. This is one that I can say, you know, it was entertaining from a gore standpoint, but it's so paper thin in the storytelling. So we have these girls who are in like this like chick rock like punk sort of band of sorts, and they're trying to get something nailed down with this record label guy. But at the very beginning of the film, you find out that there was this scientist guy who had this whole research thing going down in like his basement area, and his son unwittingly like opens up this sort of portal-y thing that causes first and foremost kind of like an alien sort of presence to come through, and there is an infection that is going through all these people in the surrounding area, and it's very Evil Dead in the same Raimi-ish in the level of gore, because I mean we are talking lots of barfing on people and slicing open and intestines pouring out and all this sort of stuff. So
when you say Sam Raimi-ish, it implies all of that.
Okay. I'm just doubling down.
They're synonymous, right?
No,
Yeah,
gratuitous
Didn't
gore
we
and
get
comedy.
2 bits of Sam Raimi news this week too? Like, isn't he?
Well, first and foremost, the Anthony Hopkins, Magic or
Yeah, he's redoing the
he's
Magic
redoing that,
movie,
which is exciting.
the dummy movie that was Anthony Hopkins, and then
I'm
he's
not
taking
sure of
over
the second-
something else. Yeah, he's
I'm
doing
not sure of the
something
second
else
piece
too.
of info.
But anyway,
But yeah, this is
Speed
very
round.
much like worshiping
Speed
at that particular altar, and I mean the performances from all the girls are fine. There is a love dynamic between the front woman and the drummer, and so they're kind of cute and their sort of thing. But it's just very thin on the story. But once it gets going, it is gory, and if you're just there for the splatter factor, I mean, yeah, recommend it on Screambox. So.
all right, and the next one is something that 2 of us actually apparently finished.
I finished
Yeah, I
this.
finished it.
Yeah, no,
Was it good
Robert
too?
and I watched the first episode, and we were like, no, I can't.
Fucking garbage.
No way.
I loved it.
What?
I didn't love it.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
I could. What was
Get
it
out.
that I told you I was calling this? I was calling this Resident Emo.
Yeah,
Because
it really was. It really
is.
was.
So it. I did not like these girls in
You're not
both of their incarnations, because it's
Yeah.
them as like teenagers, and then you get them later on.
Yeah, they're
It just
horrible
didn't
people.
feel very Resident Evil to me. You can mention the T-virus and have a couple zombies and creatures here and there, but if it doesn't have the vibe of, like, dare I say, even the Paul W.S.
Okay.
Anderson movies had more of a Resident
Hear
Evil
me out on
vibe
this.
than this did.
Hear me out on this. She was out in the world, like, away from, like, her compound for what? It was like 6-8 months, right?
Oh, where she was doing the research that you see in the first episode?
That whole time, Shark Week never came about, but yet they smelled the blood. She hid out that whole time. Just saying.
I don't know.
I guess I don't catch the reference.
Maybe she's wearing a ring that doesn't make her use her brag.
She
You don't know.
barely cuts herself and everything, and all of a sudden she has a whole horde of fucking zombies coming out of nowhere.
But you don't
Well,
know.
maybe she was super careful
Hey.
the whole time until then.
The
That's why they
design of
showed it.
Wesker was terrible.
I haven't had my period in 2 years, dude.
It can happen.
Like,
The
come
actor playing Wesker, or who
Dude,
is
it's
said
so
to be
bad.
Wesker, I thought he was good.
You
Well,
were
no,
crazy.
no,
What are you
no.
talking-
Hey,
no, you
that
stop
Wesker,
talking
that
right now.
Wesker was good, but the
You-
actual Wesker, like
Yeah,
the
there's
blade.
only so much talking you can do only watching the first episode.
I'm just
You
saying,
stop talking right
watching and reading a lot of the other stuff, I have plenty of opinions.
Well,
Not on.
if,
You didn't.
I mean, if you didn't watch it though,
You
I
didn't
mean,
watch it.
You can't.
You can't
I don't
because
care.
he was amazing.
I like the stuff with was it
He
a
was
spider
amazing.
in this 3rd or 4th episode, or was it it was an arachnid of some sort? That like
Yeah.
there were some cool kills and
Yeah.
there was some decent
Oh yeah, the
zombie
spiders
work.
in the tunnels and
Yeah,
stuff.
the one
yeah,
that ripped
was
the
really
guy up.
cool.
I thought that was cool,
I
and
li-
I did like the British guy who starts out villainous and then kind of teams up in that episode.
Yep.
I don't know. It's not. It's still. It feels like it's aimed at a different demographic than mine.
Yes.
And I mean, it's from the music to. I don't know.
I've been half tempted to go back to it.
Okay.
It's not as bad as a lot of people are making.
I'd
it
like
out
to
be.
make a comment.
Really?
Okay. So sorry, because I actually do like it, because I thought I'm a Silent Hill fan. I am not a Resident Evil fan. So like I am not 100 bought into like the whole lore of Resident Evil, and that's probably why I have the most like kind of like I went in to be entertained, and I was entertained. But Wesker, the guy who played him, was the reason why anybody should watch the show all the way through. He was phenomenal. The way he was able to play dual roles. He was able to really capture you. He was an evil motherfucker. And when he, like, spoke, you listened. And it was really cool to watch him play. But there were moments in there that you're like, okay, come on. What is this girl doing? Why is she exist? She should have been dead a long time ago.
She's insufferable at certain times.
She is a selfish, very tunnel vision person who thinks she's doing right, but she's really making things worse.
There's one bit in particular where something is taken onto a ship, and you're just like,
why are you doing this? But overall, like, I was like, in the first episode, I was like, okay, I'll watch this. I watched it back to back. I finished it in like 2 days.
You binged it, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I did the same. Yeah.
I thought it was well shot. I thought it was well acted, and I might not have agreed with it being like Resident Evil, but they did touch on a lot of the back end story stuff that you don't really hear in all the other movies because they're too busy being attacked by all these other creatures.
It kind of fits into the continuity,
It does.
Yeah.
The back lore, right? Like, not like about
the
how
stuff about Raccoon City,
like
and
how it became, like how it got out, how everybody became infected, and that it, in a touch about depression and all this other stuff, which I thought was really interesting take on it. But I don't know. I thought it was pretty fun.
The interesting thing is that I would have watched the second season, and they left it wide open for one, and then Netflix canceled it. So, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. I went in to be entertained and just kind of like watch something I didn't have to think hard on, and that's what I got. So I thought
definitely
it was
don't
pretty
need
fun.
to do that.
No, it was fun. It was fun to watch, and I liked the zombies and the different creatures that came out of it. But Wesker's amazing. Love that guy.
Lance Reddick is awesome. Yeah.
Love that guy.
All right, so let's move on to a shark movie that I didn't bother with because Fuego said it wasn't worth it. Shark Bait. Ooh ha ha.
Not good by any means. I mean, unlikable characters. They're out getting drunk in. I forget if they're in Mexico or the Caribbean or where the hell. Inconsequential, obviously. They basically steal some of those little, I don't know, jet ski speeder
wave
things,
riders,
yeah, whatever you call them. And they get broken down, and they're out in the middle of nowhere, and Shark goes and starts killing. This one, yeah. Hey, it was a red box once again, man.
I know.
Freebie
I remember
on
us
red
doing
box, man.
the trailer to it, and they're just like, oh god, this looks horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. It's not good. Yeah, it shies away from the gore, except for one hallmark kill that happens to one particular character
ahead of time as an ad.
Yep, exactly. So that was really the only redeeming aspect of this one was that I think I even liked, as disappointed as I was with the Reef sequel, I think I was more entertained by that one, at least from an acting standpoint, than this one. So Shark Bait, that's a no bueno.
Two-headed shark?
Two-headed shark was more fun.
Oh,
I mean, I'll give it that. From a camp and stupidity factor, sure. No.
So here's another one that'll go fast after Shark Bait. Shark Side of the Moon. Robert's the only one that watched
that
this.
Design. A Tubi original.
This movie sucked ass. Don't bother with this movie. Like, it was a paper thin story. The acting was garbage. The costume design was beyond laughable. Like, they're trying to walk out on the moon in basically like the Dune fucking nose pieces and shit.
Wow.
It was.
You wouldn't freeze, no.
It was so many. It was basically the Russians were manipulating human shark DNA and created these shark people, and then they become sentient and start developing tech, and it was fucking stupid.
Wow.
Don't bother with it. Just skip right over it.
Just throw all the ideas at the wall.
Yeah, it was a fucking craptastic somersault.
Mm.
So we only have 2 more before we get to the Munsters for all of you waiting for it. So continuing, because we're going to finish the S's here, and then we get a lot of V's. So a lot of T's coming up. So Vam is the next one. Fuego, why don't you tell us about So Vam?
Wow.
It was fabulous.
Wow, it's indeed.
No. So this is about a queer kid in the 80s who dreams of being a drag queen.
Oh.
And I want to say it was Australian, maybe?
Yeah, he was Australian.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it was a co-production between Canada and Australia. But in any event, so this kid has an encounter with a pretty vampire wearing a beret who you see there on the poster art. And yeah, they save him from being bullied for being gay. And then he ends up being kind of lured in by a certain vampire, and he gets bit by this one, who is a dude with the cowboy hat there at the very top. And so it's like he's either going to die or the good vampires have to turn him, which in turn they do. And yeah,
So it's like Lost Boys.
I suppose so. Sure, yeah.
It sounds more like Hocus Pocus, like "Come, little queer boy."
Well, that's exactly what happens. Like
They sing?
no, it's not. It's not. Well, there are some. There is a kind of musical performance, couple of sequences, because there is a drag bar that is there in the same town. But he's dreaming of moving to the big city with his best friend, who he goes to high school with. But it does a decent job of looking at the bullying that goes down with kids who are different, and whether it's nerdiness, sexual orientation, whatever it may be. So it's a film with good messages behind it, which I will definitely second. But it's so hideously low budget. And not in the charming degree like Velocipaster or Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter or something like that. It does have some interesting bits of dialogue and ideas, especially about the nature of Bram Stoker and some of the things that I don't know if it's true or not about Bram Stoker having been a gay man himself, but it's something they talk about in a few different scenes in this, and how Dracula was like kind of an allegory for forbidden love that he had for somebody. So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it at least seemed plausible enough. But the acting is kind of laughable at times. But it was a film made with good intent as far as the subject matter that it was exploring. So
Okay.
All right.
Also on Shudder exclusively.
I just realized that even though we're going alphabetical, I missed putting in Hocus Pocus 2.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I did say we'll talk about the Munsters in 2, so after the Munsters we will talk about Hocus Pocus 2.
I didn't know if you were going to do that separate.
No, I don't think it's
warrant
worth
it.
a whole
Yeah.
separate review.
Okay, that's
honestly.
fair.
So
While you're talking Hocus Pocus, I may go and refilm my
okay, that's fine. Well, you're up next because I started the first episode of the second season of the Cuphead show. I did not get beyond that. It's just, it's not what I was. I mean, it's fine. It's just like it's made for kids. You know, it's not anything that's interesting to me. The devil episodes in the first season were fun, but otherwise, I just didn't care that much. There's so many other, like, I'm into watching Little Devil right now, so we'll cover Little Devil once it's complete. But I have other animated shit I'd rather watch than this after watching the first season.
This was something that so I've got my work window and then my side window often with a show, and that's how I explored this one. But I thought the second season was actually better.
Okay.
I thought the humor landed a little bit more. It had more of a footing for just how it was gonna just straddle the goofiness with the homages to certain levels from since I haven't played the expansion, the DLC. I kind of got the vibe that there were certain levels from that were emphasized here that I just didn't know, but they did like the candy level as an episode and a few others, but I don't know, the humor landed a little bit more with me in this one. The dynamic of adding the girl cup whose name I can't remember, but
Miss Chalice.
okay, yeah. She's her dynamic with them actually improved things, at least a little bit in my estimation. So I don't know, the first season just kind of bugged me a little bit, but this one I thought was just a little more fine-tuned, without going too into it.
I only watched a couple episodes, and then I had it like running in the background, and then I started chasing children, so then that was the last of it. But I remember the Chalice one, but
Okay.
Yeah, where they're
in the I think it was the candy episode where she showed
okay.
up.
Yeah, because it starts out with the two of them in prison, and then they have to break out and stuff. But I don't know, the humor just landed a little bit more, in
I
this
don't know.
season for me.
I kept meaning to go back, but then I just never did.
Okay.
And they're hella quick. They're like around 10 minutes an episode, something like that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so it's time that you guys have been waiting for here. A lot of you guys have been asking, have they talked about this or not yet?
I don't know if that.
Let's get into the Munsters. So I did not watch this yet. I've been busy trying to do the reviews for all, Smile review. We did, what was the other review we put up earlier this week? We put up another, and then I'm editing the Terrifier 2 review for tomorrow. I still have to get that done for tomorrow. So there's been a lot of reviews. I just haven't had a chance to catch up on this. So apparently Marsha thought it felt way longer to Marsha than it did for Fuego. So go ahead.
When I put it on Friday night, and I was like, all right, it's PG. I can have the kids around. They'll think it's fun with the costumes and everything like that. It felt like it was 3 hours long. I just the costumes and the tone and all of that matched perfectly for what the Munsters were, but I mean, it was just so boring. Like, it was so boring. Nothing really happened. I mean, and really, you know, to be fair, nothing really happened in the Munsters either. You know, it's just supposed to be campy, like monsters living in the real world. Even though through 90% of the movie, they weren't in the real world. They were in Transylvania.
Oh, but then they go to Paris. You know, halfway through. So
yeah, 90% of the movie they were in their own realm, and they went out into the real world. So whatever. But it just didn't really feel like anything really happened for like the 3 hours that I watched, even though it was 140 minutes.
Hour and
40 minutes.
Whatever.
Hour 49.
Whatever. It felt like 8 hours. It was so long and boring. And when I was like, I remember at one point, the kids were like, I want to go to bed. I'm like, I know, I do too. Like, is this movie over yet? I'm like, no. And then it ended. Abruptly. But anyways, your opinion is better than mine.
no, not at all.
No, I mean, like, you liked it better than
I didn't hate it. No, I didn't. I did not hate it. You know, this shit is weird though. It is a weird show. But then again, I guess the camp factor and stuff of the original show. I watched that. Like, I was more of an Addams fan, but I think in syndication as a kid they played back to back. You know, in like afternoons. You know, they were Addams Family and Munsters. They were right next to each other. Rob Zombie, when he tries to do humor, like, it's one thing when he's doing the brutality of something like Devil's Rejects or whatever, but he has a very odd sense of humor. And if you've watched like his animated El Super Bistro, it's very kind of that ilk where like not all of it's gonna land with you unless you're of a particular sort of type. I did not hate this though, although it's shot in such a strange manner. It's shot, I felt like, deliberately to look like a TV show, like the quality of the film grade or you know, whatever, the lighting, the sets, like it's all relatively well put together, but it's goofy. And you know, I guess the original series was really goofy, but there was kind of an endearing cuteness about you know, Lily and Herman and some of the stuff between them. And I don't know, I didn't hate it. Grandpa, I thought was fairly funny, and some of his lines were amusing. And there's the weird Wolfman brother and
Lester.
But I would contend that this feels like 3 episodes of a TV series all smushed into a feature, because the first like 20-30ish minutes are, you know, him meeting her and being constructed and all that other stuff, and then the second bit is them getting engaged and going on their honeymoon to Paris, and then the third is where their home has been taken, and so they have to move to Hollywood and get this new property. So it is basically broken up into 3 different acts that could have, I don't know, maybe if Netflix had broken this into 3 different episodes, it might have been more easily digestible for some. But or
even if he just remade like a season of the show, right? Like, made it into a show and made it what it was, we probably would have done better, because it would have been 22 minutes of the Munsters being the Munsters, right? And you could follow it, and it would be that campy feel. He nailed the feel of the tone of the show, and I liked the colors. It was a black and white show, but I thought the colors that they chose really worked for it, and acting wasn't horrible.
I thought that his wife was going to be awful, but she wasn't that bad.
She didn't have a lot of lines.
True.
But you know what
Was
I'm
it
saying?
deliberate?
I think, like, the only
I
thing
thought the blind date at the beginning was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
It felt What We Do in the Shadows, though.
Yeah.
Didn't it? Even some of the lighting and the goofiness of the Nosferatu guy.
Yeah, it really did. But, like, even the guy himself looked like they took that costume from...
right from the show.
Right from the show.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think if he would have just made this... If they made this into, like, a series of, like, maybe, you know, 6 or 8 episodes of them doing, the Munsters for 22 minutes, I probably would have had more fun with it and a more sitcom kind of sit-through than a 3-hour movie.
I felt like there were pauses.
Still in that 3-hour movie, huh?
I thought with some of the hella cheesy humor, like, their characters would pause, and it was almost like there should have been, like, a laugh track there. You know, like a sitcom live studio audience sort of thing. I don't know.
Anyway, so
Alright.
everybody
That's the
was waiting
Munsters.
for us to review it, and that's what we said.
That's our
I don't
thoughts.
think it did a terrible job. I just think that it was just boring.
You can tell it was a
Do
labor
you
of love,
feel-
but
do you
it's not
feel
going to
if
be
they
for
released it
everybody.
in black and white would have done better.
No, I thought
No, because
like,
of with the lighting especially he used, and there's some very colorful sets and costuming.
I think the costumes and the sets were gorgeous.
They were.
Yeah. I
and-
definitely give. Like, I haven't watched it yet, but I can definitely give him credit for like the color choices that he picked for this.
Mhm.
It was very eccentric in the sense of the word, but yeah, no, that's nice.
Anyway.
All right, so
Yeah.
that is the Munsters. So, like I said, we skipped
Focus.
in the H's, but I'm gonna go ahead
And
and
use the pretty.
Pull it up.
pull this up. So we're gonna talk about Hocus Pocus 2. Now, some people might have wanted us to do a whole separate review for this, but quite honestly, I just don't think it really justifies it. I don't know. It's not super horror. It is what it is, but I'll start off saying that it was okay. It wasn't great. It's not something I would return to. Like, I still go back to the original Hocus Pocus every now and again. We rewatched it. I rewatched it before watching the second one. Watched it for the first time with our 6-year-old daughter, and like, she loved it. She cried at the end because, you know, Cat Thackeray was dead at the end, but she was on the line and emotionally invested, and even she was kind of underwhelmed by this one. She thought it was fun because it was silly, but there wasn't nearly as like heavy of issues in it. They even veered away from acting like the witches were eating children and their souls, which is what they were doing in the original.
Well,
so.
they kept saying eating the children, like they were actually eating the children, not the souls of the children, which
Right.
is weird.
In the spirit of like what the Sanderson sisters were in the first one, they were evil witches.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were actually scary for a Disney movie. They kind of they really didn't do the Sanderson sisters justice in this one.
Disney has a habit of defanging their villains.
They really
They did that
Yeah.
with Maleficent. They've done it with. Didn't they do another villain movie where they just did the same thing? I think someone will know in the chat, but yeah, they have a habit of defanging their Cruella. Yeah, they made Cruella kind of okay as well.
The Emma Stone one.
Yeah. So like that's what they're doing with the live action villainesses, and it's a shame to see them defanged like this. It's cool to see them back and they're all good as themselves, but the movie itself redid so many of the same jokes from the first movie that it was like a pale comparison.
Yeah,
And
they were trying too hard.
And then the plot is about like, oh, there's new witches now, like all of a sudden, where that was not even a thing in the first movie. So it just felt.
Well, that's how they had to get him back.
Yeah, well, it just felt very, very, very contrived. It didn't feel like a natural extension of the Hocus Pocus storyline.
I thought it was okay, but I also felt like it was very modernized. Like, this was made for people in the next generation, and allowing and like kind of bringing that kind of fun factor back into it. I thought it was weird that they were they were musical in the first one, but not
without
like
reason.
This
was bad.
This was like weird, like coming out with like a show thing. I was like, wait, what's that?
When they first show up, they start dancing and singing.
They've
It's
been
like, why?
They've been dead for 200 years, and you know this song? Like, you've been
think-
practicing in hell? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? Like, and another thing that got to me was, like, and I may be wrong, I don't know, maybe misremembering, but I think that, like, in the original, when they did, you know, the, I'll Put a Spell on You, I think, weren't they already playing that?
The band was already playing
and
that
so
song.
they
They
learned...
heard it. They learned the lyrics. Yeah.
And then they
and
made
then
their
she
own.
just added sisters to it at times.
Right,
you know?
right.
Then they put like their hex and everything
Right.
in the middle and
Exactly.
for the lyrics.
And that's
that
how it
made
worked.
sense.
And it worked. But this, it like you said, it was like they were trying too hard. They were trying to be nostalgic, and just kind of put the more modern twist to it. But yeah, I didn't like them constantly coming back and like using Mary to come back and be like, I'm gonna eat you later. Like, that's no. The whole purpose was to get a potion so that they could suck the lives out of the children. Like, that's their job.
But even too with like going back to like the first one when like they said like how Winifred got the book, it was given to her by the devil himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Didn't fucking know.
Yeah,
They
you're
completely
right.
retconned the whole goddamn
forgot about
thing.
that.
And also too, like there was a
That was lore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just continuity, you know. But even with like the book, for the most part, yeah, it was practical. But why not keep the eye practical? Why CGI it and like they completely turned? It was a green eye for this one. It was a brown eye for the original book.
Yeah.
Brown eye.
Yeah. It was a brown eye book.
Brown eyed book. I don't know.
And the new leads, the 3 girls, well, 2 girls, and then a 3rd girl that they apparently had a falling out with and needed to rekindle. Like
It made
they
no
brought us into like the middle of a relationship with people that we don't know and we don't care about. So we don't care about this feud that they already have, and like. Ooh, they've rekindled and they're a coven now. It's like what?
But even still,
so cheesy,
too, the write-in that they did to tie in the first to the second one was
with Gabriel or whatever his name was. Yeah,
it was too cheap. And like, and I'm thinking back, I was like, okay, maybe if after Sarah singing that song and everything, and then they sell
Jessica Parker.
Yeah, where the book was, they still had all the kids around the old house. That might have worked out, but at the same time, if you look at it, that was what 6 o'clock in the morning and everything when they exploded. Kid, you ain't walking around town at 6 o'clock in the morning.
You're not the cemetery.
Horse shit in a handbasket.
So there was a lot of issues with it, unfortunately. I mean, if you have young kids, it's fine for them, but it doesn't hold up at all.
Doug Jones was the best part of this movie.
Oh, he's back for this, right?
Yeah.
And he had a much bigger role, but I think he was wasted too.
Yeah.
He walked around the city the whole time, and that's it.
But he
still didn't do anything.
He had some good lines.
But he was still very enjoyable for the little we got him.
Again, just redoing the same thing. Oh, Billy's got to lose his head. Oh, amok. It's like we did all this already. We don't need to do it again.
It happens a lot with these sequel and prequel,
it's just a cash grab
legacy
at this
sort
point.
of whatevers. If you guys covered it already, pardon me, but I was curious. Did it feel tamer than the original?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I kind of
was way too whimsical.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, it was very whimsical.
The first one had that nice, serious, dark undertone that witches were scary.
90s kids horror, man. I mean, they didn't mess around.
Yeah, it was good, but it was still a family movie.
I mean, put it this way: they cut stuff. Disney cut stuff off of Bluey.
Yeah. They did.
Which is a kid animated show from Australia. They cut stuff out of it because it's too
much.
It's
Good
too
Lord.
highbrow.
Ridiculous.
And yet they're putting the Werewolf by Night, which I heard almost got an MA, which is just
crazy. So
well,
anyway, but I don't know. I still was happy just to watch it, just because
Mr. Mouse.
I watch Hocus Pocus every year and I make my kids watch it.
We actually, David, we talked about Dahmer in this very stream. So if you go back, we covered things alphabetically except for Hocus Pocus 2. So you should be able to find it pretty easily. So. We're closing in. I think we've only got like 9 left.
All right, let's do it. Rapid fire. Rapid fire.
So the next one is, I believe, the Reef Stalked. The Reef 2.
You watched
a lot of shark movies.
Yeah,
it's the same cover as the other one.
It's pretty similar, yeah. So the Reef was actually a really good low-budget shark movie. It's one that we covered in our Shark Week a couple of years back, where we actually did reviews while under the water in a shark cage.
Is that the?
I remember that one. Yeah.
We did a whole week of them like that.
Is this from the same director who did the crocodile movies also?
I
if I'm not
don't
mistaken.
know. Like Crawl?
Crawl. No, not Crawl. Those 2 Aussie croc movies that we did, where they were at.
I don't know. It might have been. I can't
think
remember.
It was the same director. In any event.
In any event, yeah, it's basically about 4 girls that go kayaking and run afoul of a great white shark, and one of them is going through trauma based on the events that take place early in the film, and it's really like, again, this is why I never would have gotten in a kayak in any bit of open water, but but the whole thing is really cheesy. It's really stupid. I mean, there's a big meal very early on in the movie, and once that happens, the shark would just leave. It's not going to continue to attack people because it's fucking full. But this movie, it just continues to. It's like Jaws 4. This time, it's personal. Like, it's so stupid. The shark just follows them for no reason, and it is one of the victims of shark movies where now they're spending more money on buying stock footage of real great whites that they can cut into the film and make it act like it's part of the same scene, and it just never works.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, this was way too heavy. Like, it's not that the acting was bad, But the fact that this felt much more about the drama of said character than it really did about the stuff with the shark, the fact that, what happens to our lead sister and then, being disconnected from her younger sister and, all of, like, it felt more about the interpersonal drama in comparison with ever really feeling threatened about the shark situation. I mean, there's one scene with two siblings that got me on edge a little bit, but aside from that, there wasn't really much to it. And the first Reef was pretty smart and well done. And so for this to be the same writer-director returning, I was really disappointed in this one, honestly. Yeah.
Agreed. That's good for that one. Let's move on to something I actually have been wanting to talk about because I absolutely fucking loved it. And that is the first season of The Sandman.
If anything warrants a separate review, it would have been this.
I agree. But I mean, at this point, we're so far behind on everything.
Yeah.
So I loved this comic book series. I have all the trades for the entire Sandman saga and a bunch of the books that came afterwards. And I have loved it ever since I read it when I was a teenager. And I was always interested in an adaptation, but it was always very questionable because it needed to be done right.
And they tried to do it so many times.
They tried to get it going so many times, but finally they got it going, and Neil Gaiman has a big hand in it, who is the original creator, and so it is very, very much like the comics. And what was one of the cool things about it was the first season was awesome. And I was thinking to myself, oh, well, they didn't do my favorite issue of the whole series, but I don't know how they could do that anyway, so I guess I won't hold up my hopes. And then, like, 2 weeks after it aired, they dropped a bonus 11th episode, and it happened to adapt my favorite issue of the whole series with Dream of a Thousand Cats.
Yeah.
Which makes sense how you would cover that, because, it's about a bunch of cats.
Yeah.
So doing it live action would have been unrealistic.
It's nearly impossible. Yeah.
But yeah, I loved this. The actor that they got to play Dream is amazing. The actress they got to play Death is amazing. David Thewlis did a really good job as the dude in the bar, like the creepy guy.
One of my favorite Sandman stories, period, dude. Like, and they did that. They did that little arc so well with
the diner.
Man.
Yeah,
it's turning them all against each other and the storm brewing outside. Like, damn, was it good?
It was just fucking amazing, and I'm so excited to know that there's probably another 5 seasons worth of material to go.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I was very surprised. I have no background with the material at all, and Pete was like, "You have to watch it. You'll love it." He watched it in pretty much 2 sittings. He just
really?
Just like pounded it out.
Yeah.
Pounded out, Pete.
So and you guys were raving about it, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. And I'm like, holy cow! Like, yeah, I was all in. The first 5 minutes of the show, I was all in, and it was just so beautiful, and the story was really neat and different, and the horror aspects weren't heavy, but what was there was a lot, and kind of
the Corinthian is awesome.
The Corinthian is
who they expanded significantly in this.
Yeah, and so of course he's a serial killer. I'm like, yay! I like this.
With mouths for eyes.
Yeah, so crazy.
That was Boyd Holbrook, wasn't it?
Yeah, Boyd Holbrook.
And then they go.
He's good.
And then you have the hotel convention, this whole thing that happened there, and I thought that was amazing. And yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job, and I can't wait to see where they go from here. I probably won't read any of the material just because I don't want to.
This is a good way to
show.
experience it. Yeah.
I don't want to ruin the show because the show's well done.
The comic was fucking solid.
I'm sure it was.
I think I still have.
I'm just saying, I feel like if I
episodes to finish up on this, but
I feel like if I got into the comics, then I would hate the show, and I don't want to.
No, it's actually really
Really?
accurate. So
Okay.
you don't have to worry about that.
But yeah, I did like the cat episode. I thought that was really cool.
That was great. Yeah. So that and the other episode, the other half of that episode were 2 separate single-off issues that just don't fit into the overall story. So.
Which was so funny. The second half of the bonus episode, I was getting confused because I kept thinking that story was one of Barker's books of blood short stories, because it's very much in the Barker vein of holding on to a particular mythical individual to help you find inspiration creatively. And dude, I was already on kind of a Sandman kick because I read a lot of it years ago, but I'd been listening to these audio programs.
They just released Act 3 yesterday.
I downloaded it the same day they surprise dropped it, man. The audio drama I think is better, but from a visual standpoint, this is just so terrifically done.
There's so many panels that they've put on screen. It's just crazy.
And
panels
it hits,
directly from the comics.
Yeah, and,
Wow.
and it hits the mark so well of those big early arcs of the show. And honestly, the one that I wasn't even sure if they were going to do, and they blended it so great in the episode with his sister, was his friendship with the guy who doesn't want to die. I loved that episode.
Yeah, the death episode.
I loved that episode,
That
man.
one was
And
a
just
hard
going and going,
with
you know,
the baby part of that episode was so.
That was
I forgot, and like in the comic, it's even harder because the baby talks and it asks Dream,
it does.
"That's it? That's all I get?" And he says, "Yes, I'm sorry," and it's so fucking sad. Ugh, that episode was everything to do with death of the Endless is so well written, and like she was so well received in the comics when it came out that they literally did a couple of separate Death series, like Death: The High Cost of Living is a 3-issue series.
Yeah, I think Gaiman let other people write those. If I remember correctly.
but Death is such a cool character in this, and it's just like. It's like she's not malicious at all. She's just doing her job. She's just collecting the souls when it's their time.
Yeah.
And the actress who plays her in this is terrific. And the way she explains like her newfound appreciation for her work in that episode, I thought was really great. My only gripe was I felt like they did some alterations with the Dollhouse storyline, which I had. That's really the minorest of gripes, but. Yeah, aside from that, I thought everything else was very, very terrifically done. This show kicks ass, and I'm hoping we do get a second season because there's still a lot more to tell, most notably with Hell. And,
but luckily it's a situation where before they agreed to let it go to Netflix, they signed a deal that said if Netflix does not continue the show, they're allowed to take it to another network to complete it. Because they're like, we're not starting this unless we have the ability to fully complete it, even if Netflix doesn't want it all the way through.
Damn.
Netflix would be stupid to drop it at this point.
I agree, but like everything's based on viewership, and they've been cutting back this year because they've been losing money for a long time. Netflix.
Although until Dahmer dethroned it, this had been the #1 TV show for weeks and weeks on Netflix. So.
All right, so moving on. This one maybe we can get a little quicker. The next few will probably go a little bit faster. So this is Gwar.
Yeah,
you watched this too, right?
I did watch this.
What did you think of it?
I found it insightful, especially based on the fact that there were all these art students, going way, way back into the 80s. I didn't really know much about the formation of Gwar or how it started out really as performance art, more so than music, and then it slowly morphed as they got better musicians in the band into something, at least from a technicality standpoint, that was more intriguing. The thing that I took issue with was I don't think they painted Brocky in the best of lights in this, especially in the back half of it. And I mean, he's no longer with us.
Yeah,
so
well,
really...
to a point and everything. Like they did gloss over, I think, a little bit too much of the influence of what Dave did bring to Gwar. Because again, like it was Hunter's baby and everything. The guy who played this executioner. But the direction where he was going with it, I don't think he would have taken it as far if Brocky was not part of the project as much.
Okay, we're not talking about the movie anymore. So.
Yes, we are.
We are. It's all in the movie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about just some stuff that happened with the band.
They chronicle all. This is a documentary.
No, I understand, but
this is all stuff that happened with the band during for their come up and everything.
And they retell the inner squabblings and the power fights amongst all of these members, and the
and I wouldn't necessarily say like they really threw shade on him because again, it's one of those things of it was known that Brocky had that artist ego. And
he was a hard partier too.
He was. He absolutely was. And again, that wasn't anything that was not known or not known. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed this documentary. It was great to see the comeuppance of what they did. Them creating basically their own film studio to shoot all of their movies. If you guys haven't checked out any of the Gwar movies, they're batshit bonkers.
And I haven't seen some of the later ones that they talked about, dude, and it made me really want to try to seek them out.
I know this was a metal band. I had no
idea. Are. So basically what Gwar is, it's heavy metal comedy. So they put on giant elaborate stage shows. Yeah. And they have this giant backstory. There are these aliens that come from the planet Scumdog, and they crash landed on Earth in Antarctica, was frozen there, and they got woken up by their manager, Sleazy P. Martini.
The guy with that
and
huge Jerry curl
yeah,
thing
and then
going
basically
down.
how he got them to do their shit is he kept feeding them crack and shit like that. So like they're like crack aliens. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah.
But all their costumes, everything, they make it themselves. They hire and do all the shit themselves. It's quite amazing what they do.
And they're still around. I mean,
Yeah, they're
granted,
still
lots
around.
of lineup changes over the years.
Well,
but-
now especially after Brocky died, they've even said that they're not bringing in any more like new people because they brought in that like this one girl for a tidbit. She didn't work out.
She was there when I interviewed Gwar at House Core Horror. In
Yeah,
2014,
she was a terrible choice for them, and they realized that. So after Corey Smoot died, who played Mac Flatus Maximus, they brought in someone else to play basically a brother character.
Mhm.
They're no longer bringing in anyone else. So once Gwar is over, Gwar is over.
Shudder exclusive.
And
Another one.
Fuck Lordy.
All right, so
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
Fuego,
have
you
too
gotta
much of a
speed
problem
run the
with
next
Lordy.
few.
Lordy
Oh, that's fine.
sucks.
all right, Under Her Control.
Okay, Under Her Control, aka La Jefa. Another one that we've talked about many of these where it's more so on the thriller, dramatic sort of side of things. So this is about a woman in, I'm trying to remember, I believe it's Buenos Aires. And so she basically like fakes a resume to get a job with this particular very renowned sort of business entrepreneur woman who you see there in the poster. And she becomes pregnant right after getting this job, and then the whole under her control aspect is the fact that she is manipulated through both the opportunity of maintaining this job and just the fact that this older woman wants a child of her own. She's kind of almost blackmailed into living in this isolation and being mistreated by this woman, and she's gonna give her child after she has it, even though she wants to have the child herself and keep it. So it's very much one of those head games, psychological sort of situations. It does veer into the horror in the third act as far as like the woman rising up. I feel like I'm telling the whole goddamn movie at this particular point. But this is one that's on Netflix, and yet it's not horror really. It's much more so a thriller with some horror elements that hit in the tail end. But solid acting, good performances, and an interesting character study from a psychological standpoint.
Next up is another foreign one, I think, Valley of the Damned.
This one was fun, man. This one was fun. So it takes place. It's another zombies in World War II sort of situation, but it was really like the modernistic banter between all of these different. So you have a few sides both banding together. So you've got those who are initially waging war on each other. So you've got an American in there. You've got someone from Spain, someone from Italy. You've got some Germans. But when this zombie sort of outbreak starts to hit, they all have to kind of team up and band together, and it's violent, it's funny. There is some very modernistic dialogue, which kind of salvaged it for me. The zombies were vicious, it was smart, it was quirky, and it was one of those crowd pleaser sort of things. It did not take itself anywhere near as seriously as like an Overlord.
Yeah, I think I started to watch it, and then I was like, I don't think this is what I think it is, and I stopped watching it. I thought it was just like a World War II Nazi movie, and I was like,
it eventually gets to the zombies, but
I'm like, I don't want to watch a Nazi movie, and then moved on.
But yeah, similar to the stories which were real, and also the
Got
Bible
it.
of Overlord, and the fact that experimenting on people, for trying to get the upper hand
Maybe I
in
should
World
have
War II.
given it more than like 10 minutes.
It was fun. I dug it.
I don't really want to watch Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
I missed Ghost Pirate's comments earlier. What's up, Kanan? Good to see you.
Ghost Pirates.
Didn't think Munsters was anywhere near as bad as people are saying. Had fun with
That's
it.
the way I felt about it. Yeah.
Oh.
It's not like
Oh,
great or
Ghost
anything.
Pirate,
but-
the person, not a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, we talking about Ghost Pirates?
All right, next up is Welcome to Hell. Fuego, another quick one.
Yeah, another foreign one. So this is from I forget where in South America, but it's a Spanish language film, and so this is the black metal one about the black metal dudes. I think we did a trailer reaction to it. No, it's this is its own thing, but it's about a black metal band that is trying to invoke the power of Satan to become famous. And so the lead singer of said black metal band down in South America gets this girl pregnant, and he's abusive, and so she goes into hiding, and yet these guys are trying to track her down to use her as a sacrifice so that they can find fortune and fame as heavy metalers. It really goes for it. It really goes for it in the third act, man. And they also have some fans that they mistreat, take advantage of, and kill and whatnot. It's low budge, but they saved all of their money for what happens with a creature, demonic of sorts, at the very end, and it was a very satisfying ending. The original music that they have is good. There's also some stuff from a few noteworthy black metal bands from like Norway and whatnot. So if you're into that, I mean, it's not terrific or anything, but I believe this is another one that is on Screambox, if I remember correctly. So black metal horror movie, man, it's not bad. I had some enjoyment with it, and the ending was very satisfying.
One more Solo Fuego, and then the last two we can do kind of together because they go together. So what Josiah Saw?
I just watched this last night, so I'm glad that I remembered to put it on the list. So you've got Robert Patrick, you have Nick Stahl. This is one that it doesn't have as much horror as I was expecting, but it does have like some sleaze and some grime to it that really was unsettling and off-putting. So you've got a family that is fragmented, and you've got a oil company that is coming and trying to buy their farm, and so it's almost kind of anthology in the way that it's broken up, because we've got the first segment that is focusing on the seemingly disabled brother who is with the Robert Patrick character, and so he's living with him, kind of taking care of him, and they're both big-time drunks, and they have one of the most uncomfortable scenes that I have watched in the movie with a nudie magazine that it made me, it grossed me out. But
don't get the pages stick together, Tommy.
Let me see how you do it, son.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
it was that sort of vibe. Really, really unsettling.
No,
and then
okay.
and then the second act is where we meet up with Nick Stahl's character, who is trying to get parole, but he's kind of male whoring himself out. He's trying to sell drugs. He's heavily indebted. But that's where the movie starts to finally take on a little bit of a supernatural element, in the fact that the presence of their dead mother is apparently back at the farm.
I feel attacked.
I had my phone on my lap, and but so the supernatural presence of the dead mother is allegedly kind of festering back at the farm, and there is a band of gypsies that they're supposed to be going and robbing, and Nick Stahl's character gets his fortune read, and this woman who is kind of trying to get some sort of vibe for him mentions a lot of the same stuff that they are feeling back at the farm. And so then we eventually focus on the sister a little bit, and it all culminates in a crazy revelation about a certain character, Shudder exclusive once again, but from a performance standpoint, it really impressed me. Robert Patrick, despite not being he's in a decent amount of it, but he's not the focal point. It is an ensemble, and the reveal at the end is it's kind of gross. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Two left, and they are
Not
basically
like something
cousins. So let's go
they're
ahead
both W's.
and talk about Wellington Paranormal seasons 3 and 4, because we haven't talked about it since season 2, and they released seasons 3 and 4 in the last couple months.
All in succession, because they're like 6 episodes a season.
They're short, like 20-minute episodes. And I gotta say, after this 4th season, I might be off this train, because it's just the same thing every episode. The cops are stupid. Whatever it is they're chasing down isn't quite as evil as they think it is, or it is, and it gets away at the end anyway. And it's just, I've gotten tired of it. It's nowhere near as good as what we're going to be talking about next. It just feels like a pale comparison. And so ultimately, it was entertaining at first, but I'm just tired of the dynamic.
I feel like it would have been good for like the first season, and then if it evolved, maybe, but it's just not evolving at all. Like at least in some other shows with this kind of like feel do grow with time, and it's too bad because I really did like the whole supernatural 911 kind of feel of it, and it is kind of fun to have in the background. But again, like you're saying, like, it just doesn't really feel like there's really any stakes in the game, and that you're just kind of regurgitating the same thing over and over again. So
no, I can second that. It's like I enjoyed a lot of the 3rd season. Actually, they have an homage to the Blob, a little 2-episode thing that I found kind of funny. And there was also another one with like a Bigfoot sort of thing where they had the character who plays Murray, and he was I don't know. He's a buddy of the Concords and Taika and all those guys. But remembering the 4th season, no episodes really stuck out that much. I mean, there's one with a jean jacket kind of thing. There was like 80s rockers and stuff, and then there was another one with Satan, and I think there was the Where's Waldo episode was season 3. But I don't know. I'm with you guys where it's started to feel a little formulaic, and they've done so many types of creatures at this particular point that I don't know how much more of the barrel they can scrape, and I don't even know, like, all of these have been migrating over after a few years in New Zealand. From what my research showed, I don't know if there are other seasons for them to bring over, if the show's on hiatus, what's going on, so maybe season 4 is the end, and if that's the case, I won't be too upset, honestly.
No. All right, so that leads us to season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows, the much better cousin of
the property Wellington spun off of.
Yes, indeed. This is season 4 was good. I don't think I liked it as much as season 3. I was just not on board with the baby Colin storyline. I was so frustrated by that. And I honestly didn't think the Nadja's storyline was that good either with the bar.
The nightclub.
I always love.
But he's like Blade.
I always love Nadja's husband. I love him and I love Nandor, but Laszlo and Nandor are always fun. But the Colin Robinson storyline annoyed the shit out of me this season. Nadja's storyline wasn't that interesting this season. Guillermo is still interesting. He's the only one that seems to be actually evolving over time.
I like his character.
Which I kind of like the fact that he's really the only one that's evolving because, I mean, they're how old? Of course they're not going to evolve.
I did like I thought it was funny that they had one episode that was like Property Brothers with the Sklar brothers.
That was the standout.
That was a good episode.
And the payoff was great.
Oh, that's right.
And I loved when they were doing like the little things with the animated heads of them as they were showing like the alterations of the segments of the home. It was really funny.
Ben, no, I haven't watched Los de Spookies, but
the second season just started.
Yeah, it just started. I'm not a big Fred Armisen fan, so I kind of skipped over it. I think he's involved in that, isn't he?
I can't recall.
Los de Spookies? Yeah, I think he might be. But anyway, continue on. Did I cut someone off?
No. Oh no, it's on HBO.
No, I was amused by the episode where they went to like the night market or whatever, and Guillermo was forced into like a bum fight sort of situation.
Oh, yeah. That felt very Hellboy 2 to me.
Yes, totally.
The secret market.
Yeah, where they have the familiars fighting each other. And the ringmaster's quips were just cracking me up, dude. He was funny as shit in that episode.
No, I would definitely say that. Guillermo is probably my favorite part of season 4, definitely. Like we mentioned earlier, his character has evolved and gone through numerous arcs. And it's great to see where he's came about. Obviously, them being vampires, you can only do so much. They're really going to change so much. But even the little things of, the repetitiveness of Nandor being, oh, I'm sorry, I ruined everything. Oh, whatever. Like, that's getting a little old.
I didn't find his wife search very funny.
I thought that was funny.
The wife search. I didn't like the wife search, but I did like the wishes thing. When he kept, the one episode where his face kept changing. That was I like that episode. That was pretty funny.
It wasn't a perfect season, but it was still enjoyable. I didn't not like the baby Colin stuff, but it was drug out a little too long.
I don't know. I thought the beginning was kind of
season 3 though. I will definitely say was still probably one of the best seasons.
Yeah,
I absolutely love season 3.
This was a step down. I'll echo that.
It was still fun. If you guys have enjoyed all the other What We Do in the Shadow stuff, obviously still watch it if you haven't.
I just love having it on and then Pete come in the room randomly like, wait, what did I miss? What's happening here? And you'll just sit down and just laugh. And
Laszlo though is still the best character.
It doesn't matter if you watch the whole series, if you're only seeing a couple episodes, like he doesn't watch all the things that can happen. Or he hasn't watched all the episodes, but he'll come in and sit down with me, and he'll sit there and just laugh. Like, and it says a lot about the material that it's just every episode can stand on its own just by the dialogue and the interactions between the characters. So, but I thought it was fun.
Was this the season? I think this was the season where they kept like someone was coming to check in on baby Colin. And they had to, Nadja had to keep fixing the memory because every time they'd be like, okay, you be the father then.
It was for the school.
For the school, to get Colin into a school. And they kept changing who the father was and everything.
He gave him an aneurysm.
Because
he fucked with his memory story so much they
Yeah.
end up killing the director.
That was a great
That
episode.
was a good one. I will definitely say that.
Yeah, and I did that, just like in season 3, the dynamic between Colin Robinson and Laszlo was even further developed with this
Right.
new incarnation of Colin Robinson, the
Yeah.
whole fatherly sort of, I don't know, where he's just, where he's obsessed with nerdy, strange performance art and stuff, and he's like making fun of it, and like,
Yeah.
I like that stuff. I thought it was amusing.
Because that's the thing, at least like Laszlo's character, like there's parts like when he goes like Jackie Daytona and everything. Like he has his short little arcs, and then you just reverse right back to
Right.
Laszlo.
Yeah.
Like, and that's fine. It's,
Yeah, the
like,
fact that he was teetering on having an endearing sort of connection
Yeah,
with him, and then he
I-
like backtracks and
Yeah.
Michael M says Jaime's hair is looking luxurious. He was literally downstairs brushing it before we started, so it should. He's been working hard on it.
You should do that every episode. He's just
Ben
very,
Grimm
like,
says
Maybe
Fred
it's part of
Armisen
it.
we should
played.
put the fan on it.
It
Regarding
depends if it's
that-
sweaty and disgusting, like it is often when I come over.
Sweaty.
Regarding that Los Spookies, Ben says Fred Armisen plays their uncle, but he's not really a main character.
I've been wanting to check it out, especially since it's on season 2. But
They-
there's so
they-
much to watch.
They
I mean,
marketed with him heavy on the first season, so I
Yeah,
just
they
kinda
always
didn't-
have to with
didn't
What is
go
it?
with
I don't know what it is.
Speaking of Fred Armisen,
bigger
he's
name actor.
speaking of Fred Armisen, he's in that episode of this where he is the familiar that's the DJ for the one vampire rapper.
Oh my God, that is
yeah,
him.
yeah, where he was like
Yeah.
controlling him and everything.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that episode too. That was
Yeah.
fun.
All right, guys. Well, that is gonna do it. And
Wow, we did it!
2 hours and 20 minutes for
Looks
this
like we made
massive
it.
review roundup.
Holy
So
crap.
thank you for sitting through it with us. We greatly
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you to everyone that joined in the chat. Thank you so much for actually interacting with us.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to click the like button. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
I'm Marsha Parker.
Gracias, I mean, fuego.
Robert the Wolfman.
And remember,
Stay
stay scared.
scared.